Summary: a heartwarming love story about a group of high school boys whose final year of school becomes unforgettable. Shane, a top student who has never been interested in romance, unexpectedly becomes the tutor for Kit, a struggling student from the lowest-ranked class. They seem to have nothing in common, except perhaps their hearts, which slowly begin leading them toward each other. Kim, a boy who has experienced heartbreak again and again, meets Mon, an adorable new transfer student. A hopeless romantic, Kim throws himself wholeheartedly into winning Mon's heart, hoping this love story will end differently from all the others. As a new term begins, many hearts are just starting to learn how to love. Author's note: the high school years. They are probably a time many of us remember with great fondness, a stage of life filled with studying, exams, love, and dreams. Life was simple, uncomplicated, and full of emotions. We laughed easily and cried over things that, looking back now, may not have seemed all that important. Even so, those years held some of the purest and most genuine moments of our lives. A new term begins. Hearts Learning to Love is a story that may take readers who have already passed through that stage of life back to rediscover the child they once were. And for readers who are close in age to the characters, perhaps you'll find meaningful lessons or a little inspiration along the way. Most of all, I hope everyone enjoys this journey. Chapter 1. Shane didn't know how important the first day of a new term was to other people, especially when it marked the beginning of Matham 6, the final year of high school. But for him, this term felt no different from any of the ones before it. In fact, it felt like just another ordinary, uneventful day. No matter what day it was, people simply had to live their lives well and fulfill their responsibilities. That said, it couldn't be denied that Fadungfat School, where he studied, was undergoing a major change this term. Principal Chanchana had introduced a new policy. Students were no longer required to wear school uniforms. Some said the principal was progressive, while others believed he simply wanted to improve the school's image and attract attention. Whatever the reason, the policy had taken effect, and it undeniably made the campus look very different. Students filled the school grounds in colorful clothes, wearing whatever hairstyles they liked, and freely expressing themselves without caring what anyone else thought. One group waddled across the courtyard dressed in inflatable dinosaur costumes, while another, dressed as Squid Game contestants, raced along the balconies, laughing as they chased one another. Shane felt neither excited nor bothered by any of it. If other people were happy, thrilled, or even upset about the new policy, that was their business. He only hoped these changes wouldn't affect him personally. He had no expectations for his Matham 6 year other than graduating with a GPA that didn't fall below what he had maintained so far. Shane's message. Shane, come see me for a bit. I've got something I'd like to talk to you about. Shane stared at his phone. The message was from Kruthan, the mathematics teacher who had joined the school only a few years earlier. Since Kruthan often took Shane to academic competitions, the two had become fairly close. It was no secret that Shane was his favorite student. Shane hurried to the storage room. Yes, the storage room. Kruthan's desk was actually inside the storage room. Every desk in the mathematics department office had already been claimed, and as the newest teacher, he had been stuck using the storage room as his office for years. It remained one of his greatest frustrations. I'm so damn proud of you, Shane. You're a kid with principles. You don't just follow the crowd. Kruthan applauded the moment Shane stepped inside. Shane was wearing a white polo shirt embroidered with the school's yellow emblem, paired with navy blue shorts. His neat undercut suited his delicate, clean-cut features and small frame. Although the principal had given everyone the freedom to wear whatever they liked, a small number of students still chose to wear the traditional uniform. Shane was one of them, though not for any noble reason. I just couldn't be bothered picking out clothes, Shane replied. Kruthan barely acknowledged the answer. He was already eager to continue. This whole no uniform policy is complete nonsense. I seriously don't understand what the principal is thinking. The real structural problems in our education system never get addressed, but he's obsessed with superficial freedom. Just wait, you'll all see. You think you're free because you can wear whatever you want, but in the end, you'll graduate and become nothing more than worthless cogs in a country that probably won't develop for another 100 lifetimes. So, what did you want to talk to me about, Crew? Shane interrupted before the teacher could work himself into an even bigger rant. Truthfully, It wasn't difficult to guess why Cruthen had called him over on the first day of the new term. Well, I've got a tutoring job for you. There it was. Shane had guessed correctly. Cruthen earned extra income by tutoring students after school. Whenever his schedule became too full, he passed some of those students on to Shane instead, whether the teacher kept a share of the money or not. Shane had never dared to ask. They had been doing this arrangement together for several terms. But this term was supposed to be different. Shane already had plans for his final year. Well, I'm in Matheum 6 now, crew. I'd rather focus on preparing for the entrance exams. I'm worried I won't get the scholarship. They're paying 30,000 baht. Shane froze. 30,000? Seriously? Yeah, and all they want is for the student to pass the exams. That's all. Money couldn't buy Shane. Unless it was enough. He had to admit that the amount was so tempting, he didn't even stop to wonder why the tutoring fee was so unusually high. The moment he agreed and asked who his student would be, every plan he had made to keep his life simple disappeared. Looking back, Shane would realize that everything changed because of that single decision. Because the person he had to tutor was that jerk kid from the loser class. Shane stood outside Matheum 6, Class 8. Someone had crossed out the number 8 on the classroom sign and replaced it with the word losers. Matheum 6. Losers. A strange feeling settled over him. Part of him wanted to turn around, go back to Cruthen, and refuse the job. Something about the whole situation felt wrong. Normally, Shane only tutored lower secondary students. He had never tutored anyone in upper secondary, let alone someone in the same year as himself, and definitely not someone from the lowest ranked class. But another voice inside him reminded him of something far more convincing. 30,000 baht. For an 18-year-old. Where else was he ever going to earn that much money? Even though the term had only begun a few hours earlier, the students of Matheum 6, losers, had already managed to turn the classroom into complete chaos. One group covered the chalkboard with ridiculous drawings and jokes. Another group played dodgeball inside the classroom. Yet another group was arm wrestling while shouting so loudly it sounded like a battlefield. Shane looked around for someone named Kit, using the photo Cruthen had shown him as a reference, but he couldn't match the name to any face. It reminded him of one simple fact. After spending years at this school, he barely knew anyone. Even students in the same year were complete strangers if they belonged to another classroom. "Excuse me, where's Kit?" Summoning his courage, Shane asked one of the large boys in the middle of an arm wrestling match. He deliberately spoke in a firm voice, worried they might see a quiet honor student like him as an easy target. But they didn't see him as a target. In fact, they didn't seem to notice him at all. "Where's Kit?" Shane asked again. The boys continued arm wrestling while everyone around them cheered so loudly that his voice disappeared beneath the noise. He began feeling both awkward and irritated. Kit? Where's Kit?" Still, no one answered. "Hey Aisha Kit, where the hell are you?" Out of options, Shane shouted without thinking. It was probably the loudest he had ever raised his voice in all 18 years of his life. The classroom instantly fell silent. Every head turned toward him. Then a voice called out from near the doorway. "AI Kit's not here." Shane turned toward the speaker. A tall, skinny boy with sharp, mischievous features was staring back at him with amused eyes. His thin lips curled into a teasing grin as he sauntered over. One look was enough. It was the same face from Cruthen's photo. "Your Kit?" "Nope," the tall boy replied dramatically. "I'm his twin." Don't punch me, man. I had nothing to do with it. I'm innocent." "What the hell? I'm not here to punch anyone. Cruthen sent me to see you." "Oh, okay. Then yeah, I'm Kit." Grinning, Kit dropped into a chair. The classroom immediately erupted into chaos again as though nothing had happened. Shane watched him in complete confusion. What kind of life does someone have to live to automatically assume a stranger came to punch him? Then again, maybe it was because of that annoyingly handsome face. And that smug grin. If someone didn't fall for him at first sight, they'd probably want to punch him instead. Shane sighed, pushing the thought aside as he walked over. "Cruthen said we're starting tutoring today. Where are we doing it?" "My place." "All right. After school, then. Give me your phone." Shane held out his hand. Kit unlocked his phone and handed it over. Shane opened Instagram, searched for his own account, pressed follow, then sent himself a direct message. Along with a sticker, "Send me your location later." He returned the phone before turning and walking out of the classroom. Kit looked down at the conversation that was still open. The sticker Shane had sent was a cartoon cat holding a heart and blowing a kiss. Shane had already disappeared down the hallway, completely unaware that the random sticker he had chosen was enough to leave the other boys smiling for quite a while. Chapter 2. Inside the classroom of Matheum 6, Class 1. Or rather, Matheum 6. Winners. Someone had scribbled over the number 1 on the classroom sign and replaced it with the word winners. For Kim, who had turned 18 less than a month ago, the first day of the new term was probably the gloomiest day of his life. He had already been heartbroken more times than he could count. His latest heartbreak had happened just that morning. After confessing to a junior, he had discovered that he had been nothing more than someone to pass the time during the school break. Kim couldn't understand it. It couldn't be because of his looks, right? Even setting aside his own confidence, he honestly believed he was pretty attractive. He stood 185 centimeters tall, had fair skin, narrow eyes, and a lean, athletic body from playing sports. Wasn't that the kind of guy plenty of people dreamed about? Sometimes, he even caught himself admiring his own reflection. Why? Why? Or was it my personality? But Kim didn't think there was anything wrong with his personality, either. There were people far worse than him who somehow had no trouble finding someone to date. With a sigh, Kim dropped his face onto his desk, hoping one of the friends sitting nearby would comfort him. Naturally, that wasn't what happened. Shia, you got dumped again, Kim? Tar asked in a voice that sounded sympathetic, though Kim knew it was pure mockery. First time, huh? For this term, Per immediately added. The mischievous boy was practically glued to Tar. But if we're counting last term, that makes heartbreak number 100. Tar and Per burst into laughter. The two troublemakers were perfectly synchronized whenever they teased someone, even though they spent the rest of their time arguing with each other. Shane, the last member of their group, spoke up in his usual serious tone. Getting your heart broken won't ruin your life, Kim. But if you keep wasting time on nonsense and fail the university entrance exams, that's what will really ruin it. Shane always had a way of dragging everyone back to reality. And he was right. Kim still had a long road ahead of him. Even if he never experienced love during high school, that wasn't the end of the world. Maybe it was like the story he'd once heard. The harder a boy chased butterflies, the farther they flew away. Yeah, I'm done. I'm never falling for anyone again. Kim stared blankly out the window, trying to settle his thoughts. He made up his mind. This year, he would focus on studying, get into university, and spend his final year making memories with his friends. That would be enough. He didn't need to. Hey, who's that? Kim suddenly shot upright, his eyes widening as someone at the front of the classroom caught his attention. The newcomer seemed to radiate an unmistakable aura. A slender boy stood there with bright, lively eyes. Kim had never seen him before, which was strange. Unlike Shane, Kim knew practically everyone in their year. Yet that face, it was completely unfamiliar. Probably the new transfer student, Tar answered. I heard someone transferred into Matheum 6 this year. That made perfect sense. If that boy had been here before, there was no way someone that adorable could have escaped Kim's notice. No, adorable wasn't enough. He was unbelievably cute. Kim couldn't take his eyes off him as the boy chatted with a teacher out on the balcony. Then, he smiled. Dimples appeared on both cheeks. Kim's heart melted instantly. This was exactly his type. His battered heart suddenly sprang back to life. His miserable mood vanished in an instant, replaced by renewed hope. I finally know why I've had my heart broken so many times. Kim spoke with absolute conviction. The others immediately fell silent. Tar was the first to realize what was happening. I sat. Don't tell me. Because my true love has been waiting for me right here. Kim declared it proudly, completely ignoring the exhausted expressions on Shane, Tar, and Per's faces as he watched the dimpled boy disappear down the hallway. His heart floated away with him. Fandom School's library was spacious and modern, yet very few students actually used it. Even fewer came there to read. Kim was one of those students. He could count the number of times he had entered the library on one hand. But today was different. On the very first day of the new term, he found himself walking through its doors, because the compass of his heart had pointed him here. After school, Kim wandered slowly between the bookshelves, keeping his eyes fixed on the adorable boy standing several aisles away. The little cutie was quietly browsing the shelves. Kim tried his best to act natural while secretly watching him. The boy suddenly turned toward the bookshelf, as though he had sensed someone staring. Kim's mind raced. Should he accidentally bump into him? Would that be too obvious? Or should he simply stand nearby and wait for an opportunity? He was still debating his options when someone tapped him gently on the shoulder. Startled, Kim turned around. It was him, the little cutie, smiling directly at him. Kim's heart nearly exploded. He had already been dangerously cute from a distance. Seeing that smile up close, was this guy actually trying to kill him? Excuse me, do you know where the literature section is? Mon asked sweetly. Kim completely froze. He barely knew his way around the library in the first place. And now he had to think while standing this close to someone so unbelievably cute. I've been looking for Wuthering Heights. I was going to ask the librarian, but I can't seem to find them. At that moment, Kim realized something. If he admitted he didn't know, this conversation would end before it had even begun. No way. He wasn't letting this opportunity slip away. Oh, I think it's over this way. Kim confidently led Mon toward another corner of the library, pretending to search the shelves as they walked. I think it should be around here. What's your name? The owner of those irresistible dimples smiled. I'm Mon. I just transferred here. I'm in class 4 now. Mon. Even his name was unbelievably cute. It suited him perfectly. I'm Kim. Class 1. Wow. So you must be really smart. Nah. I'm just average. A little humility couldn't hurt. Bragging probably wouldn't make a good first impression. The truth, however, if grades were ranked within Class 1, Kim would probably be somewhere near the bottom. Do you come to the library often? Mon asked. All the time. Kim answered without hesitation. Judging by the way Mon spoke, he was probably a real bookworm. Kim needed them to have something in common. It's fine. A tiny lie won't hurt. I love reading. I'm here every day. It worked. Mon's smile widened as though he had finally met someone who shared his interests. Me too. At first, I was worried about what the library here would be like, but it's actually much bigger than I expected. There are a lot of books. The only problem is that they're a little difficult to find. Exactly. I thought the same thing. Perfect. They had something in common. Now all Kim had to do was find the book. He turned back toward the shelves. What was it you were looking for again? Something with heights. Wuthering Heights. Mon smiled. You know it, right? Oh, it sounds familiar. That's the author's name, isn't it? Mon smiled politely, though he was laughing inside. No, that's the title of the novel. Well, that was embarrassing. Still, no problem. This wasn't the time to give up. He just had to keep moving forward. Maybe it's over here. This shelf looks familiar. Kim stopped in front of another bookshelf. Mon tilted his head, reading the labels before frowning slightly. But this is the agriculture section. Kim froze. Crap. He had spent all this time pretending to know what he was doing, only to be exposed so quickly. Before he could think of an excuse, a loud commotion echoed through the library. Hey, catch him. Get him. Get him. Kim and Mon turned toward the noise. 5 students dressed like contestants from Running Man were chasing each other through the library, trying to rip the name tags off one another's backs. They sprinted straight toward the aisle where Kim and Mon were standing. Mon, watch out. Without thinking, Kim grabbed Mon and guided him closer to the bookshelf. He spread his arms against the shelves to shield him. Their faces ended up only inches apart. Kim's heart pounded harder than ever. It felt as though he was falling in love all over again. The first time he saw Mon, he thought he had already fallen. When they started talking, he fell even deeper. And now, standing this close, breathing in the faint scent of Mon's hair and feeling his warm breath nearby, Kim realized this pit, called love, might not have a bottom at all. I think they're gone now. Mon looked away from Kim and toward the group that had just run past. Kim finally snapped back to reality. He hurriedly stepped back and lowered his head. Sorry. Let's keep looking for the book. I actually have tutoring now. Let's look for it another day. Really? Kim couldn't hide his smile. Mon walked a few steps away before turning back. He smiled, then waved. Thanks, Kim. Sure. Mon walked away, but Kim couldn't climb back out of that bottomless pit. He had fallen completely, and there was no escaping now. Chapter 3. After school, Shane stood outside a penthouse suite in a luxury condominium in the heart of the city. Just looking at the place made it obvious that Kit's family belonged to the wealthiest few percent of the country. No, maybe even the top 1%. That realization made Shane a little nervous. Could Kit be one of those spoiled rich kids? A moment later, the door opened, and a friendly-looking woman in her 40s smiled warmly at him. Shane immediately brought his hands together in a Y. Sawasdee Krub. You must be Shane. I'm Kitsmay. Come in, dear. Her gentle smile eased his nerves almost immediately. As Shane stepped inside, he was stunned by the size of the condominium and its elegant, luxurious furnishings. A display cabinet overflowed with trophies. A large family portrait hung proudly on the wall. Kit sat in the center of the picture, surrounded by his parents and 3 siblings. So you're the student crew then sent to tutor our Kit? A man who looked to be around 50 walked out of the kitchen as he spoke. Yes, I'm Shane. Shane studied the man's face. For some reason, he looked strangely familiar. Why do I feel like I've seen you somewhere before? Have we met, Uncle? Kit's father paused before suddenly putting on a serious expression. Contestant, tell us the concept behind this dish. Shane blinked. Then it hit him. Oh, Chef Co. Talent Kitchen. He finally remembered. Kit's father was one of the country's most famous television chefs. Shane couldn't help feeling a little envious. Kit wasn't just rich. He was the son of a celebrity. Seriously? Wow. Chef is Kit's pa. Thank you so much for coming to tutor Kit. Chef Co walked over, placed a reassuring hand on Shane's shoulder, and smiled warmly. Do your best, son. I'm counting on you. Shane frowned slightly. The way Chef Co spoke felt oddly dramatic. Before he could think about it any further, Kit wandered downstairs, casually playing a game on his phone. Kit, your friend's here, Kitsmay called. Kit glanced at Shane, gave him a thumbs up, and walked straight over to the dining table, where books had already been prepared. His mother turned back to Shane. We're heading out for a little while. Make yourself at home, dear. Okay. Once Kit's parents left, Shane found himself alone with Kit inside the luxurious condominium. He walked over to the table. Kit was still completely absorbed in his phone. Shane stood there awkwardly until Kit finally looked up. Sorry. Sit down. Make yourself comfortable. Shane sat across from him and carefully arranged his textbooks, notebook, and stationery into neat, perfectly aligned stacks. Throughout the entire process, Kit kept stealing glances at him. When he had first heard that someone from Class 1 would be tutoring him, he hadn't known who it would be. After all, top students and students from the lowest-ranked class practically lived in different worlds. Now that Shane was sitting right in front of him, that feeling seemed even more accurate. Even the simple act of arranging books and pens looked strangely elegant. Every part of Shane seemed meticulously put together. His neatly trimmed hair, his smooth, fair skin, those pale pink lips with a faint layer of lip balm, his freshly washed clothes carrying the subtle scent of fabric softener, his neatly trimmed nails, his balanced build, neither tall nor short, neither skinny nor chubby. He even looked like someone who only ate healthy food and took excellent care of himself. The longer I look, he's actually kind of cute. Shane eventually noticed Kit staring. What are you looking at? Nothing. Kit lowered his gaze with a faint smile before returning to his game. Meanwhile, Shane found Kit's expression strangely unsettling. He couldn't explain why, yet somehow, it made the corners of his own lips twitch upward. Without thinking, he casually reached up and adjusted his hair. Once Shane accepted a responsibility, he always intended to do it properly. After organizing everything, he got straight to work. All right, based on your coursework scores, if you want at least a grade 2, you'll need to earn more than half of the coursework marks and score around 80% on the exam. If you think you'll only get around 60% on the exam, then your coursework score has to be perfect. If we can manage that before midterms, the finals shouldn't be a problem. Kit didn't even look up from his phone. I'll start with a placement test. I need to know your foundation first. Open your textbook to the chapter on sets. Pizza lover or pizza deluxe? Huh. Shane looked up in confusion. Well, you said sets. Which set do you want? Thin crust or thick crust? What toppings? Oh, do you eat pineapple on pizza? I'm ordering the Hawaiian. Kit held up his phone, proudly displaying the pizza combo menu with completely innocent eyes. Shane stared at him for a second before sighing. Anything is fine. They don't have an anything topping. Bacon and cheese. Perfect. Kit placed the order, then finally opened his textbook. Okay, ready. Shane was already beginning to feel uneasy. There are 10 questions. You have 10 minutes. Read through them first. Skip anything you don't know and come back later. Don't waste time on difficult questions because... What do you want to drink? Kit interrupted again as he stood and opened the refrigerator. For the second time, Shane was left speechless. We've got regular Coke, Coke Zero, root beer, orange juice, apple juice, and tomato juice. Kit listed everything before noticing the irritated look creeping across Shane's face. So, what do you want? Tomato juice. Shane answered shortly. Seriously? How can you drink that stuff? It tastes like absolute crap. What the? Shane nearly swore aloud. Instead, he bit his tongue and forced himself to stay calm, while Kit casually placed the bottle in front of him before sitting back down as though nothing had happened. You and my May would get along perfectly. I seriously don't understand why anyone would turn tomatoes into juice. Shane calmly opened the bottle and took a long, satisfied drink. Then he silently looked at Kit. Are you finished talking yet? Kit swallowed awkwardly. All right, let's start. We'll work through the questions together. Good. I was just about to say I definitely couldn't do them by myself. Then Kit suddenly remembered something. Oh, wait. Without another word, he disappeared. A moment later, he returned carrying a cardboard box. My model kit arrived yesterday. Can you record me while I open it? The seller said they won't accept damage claims without an unboxing video. Kit handed over his phone. Shane accepted it with another sigh. As he started recording, only one thought filled his head. Why did I ever agree to this? By the time Kit finally finished opening the package, 45 minutes had passed. Just then, Kit's phone chimed with a notification. He looked at it before beaming. Ooh, the pizza's here. He immediately ran downstairs. Shane quietly clenched his fists. 10 minutes later, Kit returned carrying the pizza. Then he spent another 20 minutes collecting plates, forks, knives, and condiments before arranging everything neatly on the table. Is that enough oregano? There's more in the kitchen if you want. It's fine. Let's eat quickly so we can finally start studying. Shane immediately grabbed 2 slices and stuffed them into his mouth, chewing hurriedly. His only concern was getting this tutoring session underway. Kit, however, saw something entirely different. Normally, Shane looked perfectly composed. Now he was eating as though someone might steal his food at any moment. His mouth was already tiny, yet somehow he had crammed 2 slices inside at once. It completely ruined the image of the perfect honor student. Still, kind of cute. He doesn't even realize there's sauce on his cheek. Kit couldn't resist. A face that's smooth and fair shouldn't have pizza sauce on it. He picked up a tissue and gently wiped Shane's cheek. Shane froze. Their eyes met. Kit chuckled softly. Flustered, Shane quickly grabbed the tissue and wiped the rest away himself, trying to ignore the strange feeling rising inside him once again. Let's get back to studying. Can I use the bathroom first? Then we can focus properly afterward. Kit stood and walked away. The pizza sauce had already been wiped off Shane's cheek. But if he had looked into a mirror, he would have seen that his face was still bright red. Nearly an hour passed. Kit never came back. That was the moment Shane finally reached his limit. He searched throughout the condominium until he found Kit sitting beside the swimming pool, quietly laughing at cat videos on his phone. Kit heard the footsteps and looked up. Oh, I went to the bathroom, then my friend sent me some cat videos. It's almost 7 o'clock. Shane stared at him in disbelief. You watch cat videos for an entire hour? There were a lot of them. Kit smiled sheepishly. Okay, let's go back and study. Shane had finally run out of patience. If you don't want to study, then don't. I don't want to waste my time with you. Are you angry? Not really. Kit smiled with obvious relief. See? I knew you weren't. I didn't even do anything. Shane simply looked at him. His expression said everything he couldn't be bothered to put into words. Then he turned away. I'm going home. Without another glance. He walked away. Kit watched him leave, slightly stunned. Wow, he's actually pouting. That somehow makes him even cuter. The place Shane called home was an old condominium a few train stops away from school. For most people, home was peaceful, a place to rest after facing the outside world. For Shane, it was the complete opposite. Home was noisy, chaotic, almost impossible to find any peace in. He lived with his 3 siblings. The oldest was Phi Jean, 22 years old, and in her 4th year of university. She complained constantly about everything around her. She loved controlling everyone else's lives, except her own. At night, she was either out drinking with friends or staying home to argue with her younger siblings. Next came Phi Name, a 2nd-year engineering student, and easily the biggest troublemaker in the family. If food disappeared, it was probably Name. If the apartment was a mess, definitely Name. If Jean was furious that day, there was an excellent chance Name was responsible. Then there was Shane, the third child, the middle sibling. Unlike the stereotypical forgotten middle child, Shane was a winner. He survived the household food chain through intelligence, emotional detachment, and a perfected talent for not caring. Finally, there was Cheese, the 12-year-old youngest sister. She was somehow a mixture of all three older siblings. She talked nonstop like Jean, played around endlessly like Name, and occasionally displayed the same icy indifference as Shane. Honestly, it was a little terrifying. So whenever Shane came home and found everyone there, he never expected peace. Today was no different. Name and Cheese were arguing over food. Jean was complaining endlessly. Shane's usual strategy was simple. Ignore everyone. Say nothing. Go straight to his room. Unfortunately, today he wasn't allowed to escape. A fat cat wandered right in front of his bedroom door. Whose cat is this? How did it get in here? Shane picked it up and walked into the middle of the apartment. The moment Shane spoke, everyone else fell silent. Name and Cheese stopped arguing. Jean stopped complaining. It's Cheese's, Jean answered. Shane looked toward his youngest sister. Where did you get it this time? It's a stray. It didn't have an owner, so I felt sorry for it. Cheese smiled proudly. I already named it Kaiju. You already gave it a name? What kind of stray is this fat? This place belongs to Kaiju just as much as it belongs to you or me. Pa and May bought this condo before they got divorced, then left all of us here to live by ourselves. Remember? Cheese stormed off to her room. Shane stood there speechless. Jean sighed. Actually, it's the cat from next door. The owner moved overseas, so they asked Cheese if she'd take care of it. I'm not keeping it. Shane looked down at the cat. Give it back. Give it back to who? They've already boarded the plane. Shane sighed. He took out his phone and snapped a picture of the cat. Fine. I'll post online and find someone to adopt it. With that, he finally retreated to his bedroom. In the end, the only peaceful place Shane had was the few square meters of his own room. It was his sanctuary, his private world. That was why he always locked the door behind him. Not even his siblings were allowed inside. He sat down at his desk. Everything was perfectly organized. Stacks of entrance exam books. A bulletin board covered with scholarship announcements. Rows of difficult vocabulary words pinned neatly above his workspace. There was nothing there except study materials. Shane pushed everything else out of his mind. The changes at school. Kit's irritating behavior. The chaos at home. According to his schedule, this hour was reserved for studying a specific subject. Many people had called him a study freak. A nerd. Too serious. Shane had never cared about any of those labels. He only believed one thing. As a student, his responsibility was to study, and he intended to fulfill that responsibility as well as he possibly could. Everything he did was for one goal. After reading for a while, his phone rang. It was Crew then. Yes, Crew. How's it going, Shane? How was tutoring Kit? Exhausting. Shane sighed. Kit doesn't care about studying at all. I don't think I can keep doing this. Calm down, Shane. Crew then's voice softened. Kit's parents personally asked me to help him. They aren't expecting much. They just don't want him to fail this term. They're worried he won't be able to continue studying anywhere. So what? Shane replied flatly. That's not my responsibility. That's true. Crew then paused. Then think about the money. His final trump card. Don't you want to save up to study abroad? 30,000 baht isn't a small amount. Shane sighed. His eyes drifted toward the bulletin board above his desk. Written there was the dream that motivated everything he did. Study abroad. Every hour he studied. Every exam he prepared for. Every perfect grade. Everything was for that single goal. Next year, he wanted to become a university student somewhere overseas. Somewhere he believed he could build a better future. But, did tutoring that idiot Kit really have to be part of that journey? Almost as though Crew then had read his mind, the teacher added one final sentence. Besides, you're a fighter, Shane. You've never been the kind of person to give up easily. That was true. Shane had never walked away from a challenge. And more importantly, 30,000 baht would bring him one step closer to studying abroad. Chapter 4. The next day after school, Shane arrived at Kit's condominium once again. Kit greeted him with a bright, carefree smile. Hey, Shane. You're early. Shane walked straight into the living room, glanced around, and asked, Where are your parents? May has an appointment with a patient, and Pa's filming a TV show. It's just the two of us today. Kit grinned. No spies around. So I say we play some games. All he ever thinks about is playing games. Shane silently fumed, but kept a straight face. He pulled out a chair. Sit. Seeing how serious Shane looked, Kit sighed and obediently sat down. Are you left-handed or right-handed? Right-handed. Good. Without another word, Shane grabbed Kit's left wrist, snapped a handcuff around it, and locked it to the chair. Kit stared at him in disbelief. Hey, what the hell are you doing? I watched a dog training video. Shane answered calmly. They said discipline works best like this. If you follow instructions, you'll get snacks as a reward. You can use the bathroom after we're finished. Does it really have to be this extreme? For someone like you. Shane looked him straight in the eye. Yes. Where did you even get handcuffs? They belong to my older brother. Shane shrugged. They're probably for whatever he does with his girlfriend. And you decided to use them on me? Shane froze. He couldn't help reading far more into that sentence than Kit had probably intended. As ridiculous as Shane's method was, it actually worked. For the next hour, Kit couldn't wander off or get distracted. He stared at one of the questions, scribbled the answer. 2. Then looked back at the multiple choice options. 0. 1. -1. -2. 2 wasn't even listed. With a dramatic groan, Kit collapsed face first onto the desk. I can't do this anymore. I'm tired. This is too stressful. Let me take a break. You've only been studying for 1 hour. Shane looked at him flatly. If you're already tired after 1 hour, you need to build your endurance. Otherwise, how are you going to improve? Keep going. Why does studying have to be this intense? If you can't even stay focused on something as basic as studying. Shane sighed. Then how are you going to handle real life later? You're way too serious. Kit stared at him. What kind of person are you, anyway? No wonder you still wear the school uniform even after they got rid of the dress code. What I wear has nothing to do with this. Shane replied immediately. Seriously. Kit continued. Do you even know how to spell the word fun? I do. Then spell it. Can you stop fooling around? Shane finally snapped. Do you think you're still 8 years old? Even middle school students can solve problems like these. Yet you still get them wrong. His voice became harsher than he intended. What the hell, Kit? You're making mistakes, and you're not even trying. The smile disappeared from Kit's face. Only then did Shane realize he'd gone too far. Can I go get some fresh air? Kit asked quietly. I'm stressed. Guilt immediately settled over Shane. He unlocked the handcuff. Go ahead. Kit stepped out onto the balcony. Shane watched him for a while before lowering his gaze to the rough work on Kit's scratch paper. Maybe. Kit had been right. Maybe he really was pushing too hard. As he looked more closely, Shane noticed little doodles scattered across the page. One drawing showed Shane with devil horns, swinging a stick. Another showed Kit lying on the ground with spiral eyes and a halo floating above his head. Shane almost smiled. Then he examined the mathematics. Kit had actually followed the correct method. He had simply mixed up addition and subtraction. Shane circled the mistake, added a minus sign in front of the answer, changing the 2 into -2. One of the correct choices. After a quiet moment, he carried the paper outside. Before Shane could speak, Kit beat him to it. I don't know what's wrong with me. Kit stared out across the city. Ever since I started high school, I just can't do math anymore. The harder I try, the worse I get. He laughed bitterly. It's easy for someone like you because you're smart. He lowered his eyes. But for someone as dumb as me, it's really hard. You're not dumb. Shane answered immediately. I only said that because I got angry. He looked down at the paper. I don't actually think you're stupid. Kit quietly looked at him. Shane pointed to the mistakes. You understood the questions. You just forgot a few steps. He pointed at the first example. When you move this term to the other side, you forgot to change the sign. Then another. You forgot the parentheses here. And another. This one, you just divided incorrectly. Shane looked up. I think you're rushing. If you slow down, stay calm, and practice more, you'll improve. Kit stared at him with genuine surprise. He hadn't expected Shane to look through his work so carefully, or to explain everything so patiently. After a moment, he smiled. Okay. He lightly patted Shane's shoulder. Thanks. Then he walked back inside. Shane followed. Just as he reached the doorway, the sliding door slammed shut in front of him. Click. Locked. Shane blinked. He was trapped outside on the balcony. Hey, what the hell, Shia? That's revenge for the handcuffs. Kit laughed from inside. Enjoy the view from my condo. I'll ask the housekeeper to unlock it in about 10 minutes. He waved cheerfully. See you later. Then he walked away. leaving Shane alone on the balcony. "AI Kit, you asshole. And why exactly are we helping you find this book?" Tar grumbled as he searched another shelf. Kim had spent 2 days looking for the novel Mon wanted. After failing to find it himself, he had dragged Tar and Per into helping. "Come on." Kim smiled. "Aren't you guys my friends? Are you even sure it's here?" Per asked while genuinely searching. Unlike Tar, he was actually trying to help. "It is." Kim nodded. "I already asked the librarian. It should be somewhere around here." He frowned. "But all these book spines have faded. It's impossible to read the titles." "Kim," Tar suddenly spoke in an unusually serious voice. "You do realize that even if you find the book, it doesn't mean he'll like you back." Kim paused. Logically, Tar was absolutely right. But logic had never stood a chance against the instincts of someone hopelessly in love. "Maybe," Kim smiled. "But it's still better than doing nothing." Tar could only shake his head. In a strange way, he admired that determination. The three continued searching. A few minutes later, Per pulled out a book. "Is this it?" Kim and Tar hurried over. The title on the cover read, "Wuthering Heights." Kim's face lit up. "Shia, we actually found it." He hugged the book excitedly. "I'm telling you, this time I've really got a chance." To Kim, this book marked the beginning of something special between him and Mon. Later that evening, Kim, Tar, and Per sat inside a tea shop on the ground floor of a tutoring center. Kim kept glancing toward the escalators. "You're sure he studies here?" Per asked again. After all, they had already been waiting nearly an hour. Kim had dragged both of them here as part of yet another romantic mission. Something that always left the two of them wondering why Kim's love life somehow became their responsibility. Fortunately, Kim had one unbeatable argument. "Aren't you guys my friends?" "Yeah." Kim nodded while staring at his phone. "I'm checking his Instagram right now." Still, he was beginning to worry they had missed Mon already. If that happened, Tar would definitely complain all the way home. Just as Tar inhaled to start, Mon stepped off the escalator. "Mon," Kim called. Mon stopped and smiled in surprise. "Oh, Kim, what are you doing here?" "Well," Kim held out the book. "I happened to come across the one you wanted." Mon accepted it eagerly. "Wuthering Heights." His face brightened immediately. "You actually found it?" "Happened to," Tar muttered under his breath, ready to expose Kim's 2-day search mission. Per immediately smacked the back of Tar's head. "Hard." "Ow. How did you find it?" Mon asked. Kim answered as casually as he could. "Someone probably returned it." "Thank you so much, Kim." Mon smiled sweetly. "How about I treat you to a meal sometime to thank you?" Kim's eyes widened. "Really? What should we eat?" "Today. I'm already having dinner with my friends tonight." Mon laughed softly. "But another day?" His smile grew a little shy. "Maybe just the two of us." Tar and Per exchanged stunned looks. Kim completely forgot how to speak. Realizing what he'd just said, Mon quickly looked away. "My friends are waiting. I should go." He hurried toward the group waiting nearby. Kim continued staring after him dreamily. "I was the one who actually found the book." Tar folded his arms. "So why's he only treating you?" "Go ahead." Per smirked. "Say that one more time." "I'm starving." Tar immediately changed the subject. "Let's go eat." He walked off first. Per casually draped an arm around Kim's shoulders and followed. Kim still floated somewhere among the clouds. To him, that had been the true beginning of his love story with Mon. 8 o'clock that evening. The housekeeper finally unlocked the balcony door. Shane stormed back into Kit's room. His first thought was to call crew then and quit tutoring. But the teacher didn't answer. Unable to vent his frustration, Shane forced himself to sit down and study. Normally, studying calmed him. Tonight, it didn't. Every time he remembered Kit's smug grin, his blood pressure rose. What the hell is that idiot doing right now? Shane grabbed his phone and opened Kit's Instagram story. The first post showed Kit happily lying inside a giant ball pit. Caption: 8 years old again. Shane froze. The idiot was obviously mocking him for calling him an 8-year-old earlier. He tapped to the next story. Kit was playing arcade games. Caption: Life Enjoyment 101. Another jab. Apparently, Shane didn't know how to enjoy life. His irritation climbed another level. The final story showed Kit making a ridiculous face inside a photo booth. Caption: I'm just a dumb guy. Shane slowly clenched his fists. He had never punched anyone in his entire life. But at that moment, he genuinely wanted to hit Kit, especially after noticing the location tag beneath the story. Kit was at a shopping mall. Shane stood up immediately. All right, AI Kit. You're dead. Chapter 5. Shane walked into the arcade on the top floor of the shopping mall, scanning the crowd for his target. Before long, he noticed a large group gathered around a dance machine, cheering loudly. There, he found Kit. Shane slowly made his way over. Kit danced with boundless energy, his face filled with focus and genuine happiness. When the song ended, he earned a high enough score for a free round. The crowd erupted into applause and cheers. Kit turned toward the spectators. The moment he spotted Shane, he smiled and nodded, inviting him to join. Someone else stepped onto the platform instead. Shane simply shook his head. The next round began. Kit's new challenger was skilled, but Kit still managed to earn another impressive score. The cheers grew even louder. Watching from the crowd, Shane couldn't help feeling amazed. This was the same guy who couldn't solve a simple math problem. Yet here, he stood at the center of the arcade, surrounded by applause and admiration from complete strangers. Shane, who maintained a perfect 4.0 GPA, had never once received that kind of admiration. The longer he watched, the more complicated his feelings became. It wasn't jealousy over Kit's gaming skills. It wasn't the high score. It wasn't even the cheering crowd. It was the look in Kit's eyes. The look of someone who genuinely loved what he was doing. Something Shane wasn't even sure he had ever experienced himself. He sighed and slowly looked around the brightly lit arcade. Kit's question echoed in his mind. Do I even know how to spell the word fun? When no answer came, he decided to look for one. Shane wandered deeper into the arcade. He loaded 200 baht onto a game card and began trying every machine that caught his eye. Maybe one of them would be fun. Instead, he lost at everything. He couldn't make a single basket in the basketball game. He was eliminated in the very first stage of every arcade challenge. Even the games that relied purely on luck seemed determined to drain his money. Eventually, he stopped in front of a claw machine. After more than 10 attempts, he still hadn't won a single plush toy. Kit had been quietly watching from a distance. When he saw Shane repeatedly swiping his game card and trying again and again, he finally walked over. How much money have you spent already? Oh, Shane looked away. Just the advance your parents paid me. It was a lie. He had already spent several hundred baht of his own money. Let me try. Kit gently nudged Shane aside. He carefully lined up the claw, paused for a moment, then confidently pressed the button. The claw descended, grabbed the plush, and lifted it cleanly into the prize chute. First try. Shane stood there speechless. Yes. Kit laughed excitedly before crouching to retrieve the prize. See? He held up the plush proudly. It's not that hard. Shane sighed and quietly walked away. Kit hurried after him. Look. He held the stuffed toy toward Shane. Isn't it cute? Yeah. Kit studied Shane's expression. You're still mad at me, aren't you? No. Shane shook his head. Forget it. Then let's go get some ice cream. Kit smiled. My treat. Without waiting for an answer, he casually draped an arm over Shane's shoulder and led him away. Each of them sat with a cup of ice cream. After noticing that Shane looked much calmer, Kit finally decided to ask. So, he looked at Shane sincerely. What's really bothering you? Shane was quiet for a moment. Then, he finally answered honestly. You were right. Kit blinked. About what? I really don't know how to spell the word fun. What? Kit looked completely confused. Shane continued. I tried a bunch of games. I didn't win a single one. Kit laughed. Wait. You think you have to win for something to be fun? Shane shot him an annoyed look. But Kit simply smiled. Don't be so impatient. His voice was calm. Take your time. Practice more. You'll win eventually. Shane froze. Those were, almost word for word, the same things he had said to Kit during tutoring. But hearing them now, spoken calmly, without a trace of mockery, they sounded strangely comforting. That sounds familiar. I know. Kit smiled. I said it because you said it to me. Both of them smiled. It was the first genuine smile they had ever shared. Only a few hours earlier, Shane had wanted to punch Kit. Now, something unexpectedly warm had begun growing inside his heart. Later that night, Shane sat at his desk reading when his phone vibrated. He picked it up. Kit's message. See you tomorrow. Without realizing it, Shane smiled. He quickly replied. Shane's message. See you. He set the phone back down. The smile remained on his face. Just then, a soft meow echoed through the room. Shane looked down. Kaiju was rubbing against his leg. He had no idea when the cat had slipped into his room. Normally, he would have carried it back outside. Instead, He bent down and picked Kaiju up. The chubby cat immediately snuggled comfortably into his arms. That night, Shane chose to open his heart to two things at once. One, a cat. The other, someone special. Chapter 6. For students, a new school term only begins a handful of times during their teenage years. For teachers, it comes again and again, for as long as they remain teachers. And no one really knows how many times that will be. Just thinking about it sent a chill down Crutan's spine. He had already survived the beginning of the school year twice during his 2 years of teaching here, and even that had felt exhausting. He couldn't imagine doing it every year until retirement. 2 days after the new term began, the principal called a staff meeting to review the first few days of the academic year. Crutan arrived right on time. He deliberately chose the most inconspicuous seat in the room. He had absolutely no intention of speaking, sharing opinions, or attracting anyone's attention. He simply wanted to survive this painfully boring meeting, go home, and prepare himself for the long, exhausting days ahead. Teachers gradually filled the meeting room. Principal Chanchana sat at the head of the table, grinning as he scrolled through his phone. He was undoubtedly admiring the school's growing popularity on social media. The school's new no uniform policy had gone viral. The response online had been overwhelmingly positive. News pages were covering the story, and countless comments praised the school's decision. Principal Chanchana couldn't have looked more pleased. Crutan sighed quietly and let his mind drift elsewhere. He barely noticed someone taking the seat beside him, until a faint scent of cologne reached him. He paused. Turning his head, he found a young man he had never seen before smiling warmly at him. Sawasdee Krub. The young man gave a polite nod. I'm Nat. This is my first term teaching here. Crutan stared for a moment. Something about the newcomer caught him completely off guard. Was it his handsome face? His gentle voice? Or that warm smile? Whatever it was, it left Crutan momentarily speechless. Only when the other man politely looked away did he finally recover. A moment later, Principal Chanchana set down his phone and began the meeting. All right. He looked around the room. Looks like everyone's here. So, how did the first day go? Feel free to speak openly. The room remained silent for a while. Then one of the physical education teachers raised his hand with an obvious look of frustration. Permission to speak, Principal. He stood. I think the no uniform policy is creating problems. The schools become chaotic. The students are undisciplined. Some of them are even coming to class without shirts. I really think we should bring the uniforms back. Murmurs of agreement spread throughout the room. More and more teachers nodded. Even Principal Chanchana looked uncertain. He rubbed his chin. I didn't expect the students to take it this far. But we're still in the trial period. If it really doesn't work, I'll reconsider. Several teachers visibly relaxed. Crutan simply sighed. He had expected this discussion from the very beginning. Then, unexpectedly, Crunat raised his hand. I think we should continue the policy, sir. The room fell silent. Even Crutan was surprised. No one expected the newest teacher at the school to speak so boldly. Every eye turned toward Crunat. He hesitated slightly. Principal Chanchana smiled encouragingly. Go ahead. Feel free to speak. Crunat nodded. I think it's still too early to judge. The students may have gone a little overboard at first, but things will settle down with time. And if something truly becomes inappropriate, we can always introduce clearer rules. The physical education teacher frowned. It's only about clothes. Why make such a big issue out of it? Crunat answered calmly. I don't think it's just about clothes. It's about giving students the opportunity to understand who they are. We can teach them knowledge. We can teach them values. We can teach them life skills. But happiness and a sense of self-worth, those are things they have to discover for themselves. Crutan couldn't help feeling impressed. Crunat continued. That's why I believe this policy has value. It gives students the freedom to explore, to experiment, to discover who they are, what they truly want, and what might still be missing from their lives. I believe experiences like these will help them grow into better adults. Adults who are more complete than we were. Because many of us grew up surrounded by rules and restrictions. We've already taken the first step. If problems appear, we solve them. But we shouldn't move backward now. Silence filled the meeting room. No one spoke. Everyone waited for the principal's response. Then, Principal Chanchana suddenly began applauding. He looked deeply moved. He clapped so enthusiastically that everyone else reluctantly joined in. Excellent. He wiped at the corner of one eye. Beautifully said. I'm honestly about to cry. He turned toward his secretary. Write all of that down. No. Actually, post it on the school's Facebook page. But make sure you credit the quote to me. Not a single teacher dared object. Crewnet simply smiled with relief. At least the principal still supported the policy, even if his reasons were somewhat questionable. Meanwhile, Crewton couldn't hide a tiny bit of envy. Seriously, handsome, and he speaks that well? How is someone allowed to be that cool? After the meeting ended, Crewtan returned to the storage room that also served as his office. The moment he opened the door, he froze. A tall figure was already standing inside. Crewnat turned toward him with his usual warm smile. So this is where you work, Crewtan? Crewtan sighed. He walked over to his desk before answering wearily. Temporarily. The mathematics department doesn't have any empty desks. They told me to wait here. He let out another sigh. I've been waiting for 2 years. Oh. Crewnet looked unsure how to respond. That single question had somehow opened the floodgates. Crewtan couldn't stop himself from venting. That's just how this school works. If students ask for something, they get it. They don't want uniforms? Fine. Wear whatever you like. They don't want haircut rules? Fine. Grow your hair however you want. But when a teacher asks for one desk in the staff room, they still can't find one after 2 years. He shrugged. Not that I really want to sit with everyone else. Working here is fine. It feels like having my own private office. Honestly, that's the one good thing about this room. Crewnat smiled awkwardly, unsure what to say. At that moment, a member of the school staff entered the room, followed by several workers carrying a desk and chair. They set everything down beside Crewtan's desk. After thanking them politely, Crewnat placed his bag on the newly delivered desk. Crewtan frowned. Crewnat smiled apologetically. Well, the foreign language department is full too. I've been waiting for a desk myself. The administration told me to work in this room as well. Crewtan stared at the brand new desk. His lips tightened. Then he muttered quietly to himself. So much for the one good thing. Crewnet looked completely confused. Had he done something wrong? Meanwhile, Crewtan made absolutely no effort to hide his disappointment. Being assigned to work in a storage room was already depressing enough. Now, he had to share it. This new school term was somehow turning out even worse than he had imagined. Chapter 7. On the school's announcement board, a list of all the clubs available this term had been posted. Students gathered around to see what options were open. Mon was among them, scanning the list with interest. Kim happened to walk by and noticed Mon standing there, so he casually strolled over and greeted him. Mon, checking out the clubs? Yeah, there are a lot here. Some of them are kind of weird, though. I can't even tell what this one's supposed to be. Mon pointed and laughed, indicating the club called Happy Body, Happy Life. What even is that? It's one of those clubs teachers set up just to give students a break and free participation points. But we won't get in now. It's always full within the first second. Rumor has it you've got to slip the teacher some cash under the table. Seriously? That kind of thing happens. Well, it's school, right? So what club are you joining, Kim? Oh, I was thinking of joining the storytelling. Kim glanced at the name Ghost Story Club, about to say it out loud, but paused when he saw Mon looking directly at him, and noticed the stack of books Mon was holding. He quickly changed his mind and slid his finger over to a different name on the board. I mean the Literature Club. Yeah, the Literature Club. What about you? Same. I was afraid I wouldn't know anyone there. So, see you during club period then, Kim. Yeah, see you. Mon walked off. Kim stood there, watching him with stars in his eyes. And so Kim officially joined the Literature Club, supervised by Crewnat. Once all the students had signed up, Crewnat had everyone sit in a circle. All right, since today's our first day, I'd like everyone to share their favorite book, just one per person. He turned to Mon. Let's start with Mon. Honestly, I have a lot of favorites. It's hard to choose. Just pick the first one that comes to mind. Kim looked at Mon, eager to hear his answer. Then Mon spoke. I guess. Hamlet, by William Shakespeare. It's about royal succession and power struggles among noble families. The way the characters outwit one another is so intense. After reading it, I went on to read The Merchant of Venice, King Lear, and Twelfth Night. I became a huge Shakespeare fan. Kim swallowed hard. He didn't recognize a single title Mon had mentioned. Meanwhile, the other club members chimed in. I've only read Romeo and Juliet. Have you read A Midsummer Night's Dream yet? Not yet, crew. I couldn't find a copy. I'll lend it to you then. You shouldn't miss that one. All right, who's next? The literary circle continued with everyone's enthusiastic answers. Number 1 in my heart. To Kill a Mockingbird. The Catcher in the Rye for me. It's hard to pick just one book. I'll go with an author instead. No one in the world has written tragedy as beautifully as Albert Camus. Kim swallowed again. He was starting to wish he could crawl out of the room. Mother by Maxim Gorky. The Thai translation by Jit Fumisak. The Chula literature student who was thrown overboard. War and Peace. I didn't finish it, but I loved it. No sci-fi readers here? Honestly, I couldn't decide between The Time Machine by H.G. Wells or Dune by Frank Herbert. But Dune's getting mainstream now, so I'll go with The Time Machine. Best sci-fi? It's got to be Foundation. Not true. I actually prefer The End of Eternity over Asimov's Foundation. All right, let's stop there. This isn't the time for a debate. Crunat smiled as everyone quieted down. Then he turned to Kim. Okay, Kim, you're the last one. Tell us, what's your favorite book? Kim froze. He had no idea what to say. All eyes were on him, including Mon's, and the pressure was overwhelming. He blurted out, Doryman. The room fell completely silent. Then a single high-pitched laugh rang out, followed by loud laughter from every direction. Kim's face instantly fell. Mon was the only one who didn't laugh. Crunat cleared his throat, and the room quieted down again. Actually, it's one of my favorites too, Crunat said. So Kim, why don't you tell everyone why you like Doryman? Because it's fun. Kim scratched his head. The episode 1, like most, is the one with the lie potion. Doryman had gone back to the future, and Nobita drank the potion and said Doryman wouldn't come back. Since it was a lie, the opposite came true. Doryman came back to him. That story taught me that, even if something seems impossible, it doesn't mean it can't happen. Kim said those words while looking straight at Mon. Mon met his gaze for a moment, then quietly looked away. One of the club members spoke up. You know that only happened because the publisher forced the author to keep the series going, right? It was supposed to end there. The best episode is when Nobita and the gang go on that prehistoric adventure. That's a movie. It doesn't count. Suddenly, everyone was chatting excitedly about Doryman. Kim let out a sigh of relief. But when he glanced at Mon, he noticed Mon was sitting silently, avoiding eye contact altogether. Kim's heart sank just a little. After the session ended, Kim and a few literature club friends were still talking about their favorite Doryman moments, while Mon quietly packed his things and slipped out of the room. Kim noticed and quickly excused himself to catch up with him at the door. Mon, today was fun, right? Yeah, I should get going. I don't want to be late for tutoring. See you around, Kim. Mon quickly walked away. Kim stood there, watching him leave. Did I mess something up? In a quiet corner of the school, Shane was tutoring Kit on math problems. After a while, Kit handed over his worksheet. Here, I'm done. Shane took it to check. At that moment, a message popped up on his phone. Jin's message. Pay the internet bill first. I'll pay you back at the end of the month. Shane sighed and set his phone down. The screen was still lit, showing his wallpaper. Kaiju, the stray cat still living at Shane's house. Kit noticed. You have a cat. I don't have one. My sister picked it up from next door after the people moved out. She brought it home and dumped the responsibility on me. It's cute, though. Smart, too. It really knows how to survive. Every time I call it, it comes. It even knows when I wake up. The second I'm out of bed, it comes running over to cuddle. Shane smiled unconsciously as he talked about the cat. But you don't have a cat, right? I can't keep it. Shane snapped. I'm trying to find it a new owner. But maybe it's not cute enough. I've been posting about it for days, and no one's interested. In truth, people had messaged offering to adopt the cat, but Shane had turned every one of them down. Sensing that, Kit teased him. Oh yeah? Then give it to me. I want to adopt a cat. Like hell I'd let you take care of anything. No way I'm letting it live with you. Kit chuckled, knowing full well Shane was saying the exact opposite of what he felt. Shane noticed and glared at him. What's so funny? Nothing. So how many did I get right? 3 out of 10. Yes. New personal best. You didn't even get half right. What are you so happy about? It's still an improvement, right? I usually don't even get one right. Well, that's what happens when you've got a good tutor. After the tutoring session, it was almost time for club period. Kit turned to Shane. Hey, want to go play soccer? Nah, I don't know how to play. And don't you need to go sign up for a club or something? What's the rush? There's still plenty of time. You're in the math club, right? You sure know a lot, huh? Come on. A guy like you? Not that hard to guess. Shane paused for a moment before admitting. Actually, I kind of want to try something different. I mean, it's our last year, right? But I have no idea what club to join. I'm completely blank. Then let's go check some out. Come on. I'll help you find the right one. Kit grabbed Shane by the arm and started dragging him away. Shane tried to resist, but Kit refused to let go. They walked around, making a list of 4 or 5 clubs that looked interesting. Then Kit led Shane to visit them one by one. They started with the crossword club, which Shane assumed would be his favorite. Inside the room, he joined a few members playing a word game. One student placed the word tree on the board, then rotated it toward Shane. Without missing a beat, Shane added elephant. The board turned again, and the next student added top. When it came back to Shane, he paused for only a moment before calmly writing. Photosynthesis. What the heck, man? Use simpler words. Shane paused. Maybe this club wasn't the right fit after all. Next, he tried the swimming club. This is great for you, Shane, the PE teacher said. Smart kids like you need to exercise too, for your health. I actually don't know how to swim. That's why I want to join to learn. Besides swim trunks, do I need to bring any other gear? Not really. No need for gear. Wait, what? Shane looked confused. The school pool is only for our real athletes to train in. As for us, we'll just practice swimming on dry land. Shane stood there speechless. He turned to look at Kit, who looked just as stunned. Kit led Shane to try a few more clubs, but none of them seemed like a place where Shane could challenge himself or grow. Every club felt half-hearted, thrown together without much thought. Shane started feeling like he was wasting his time. And then came the final straw, the Go Club. I want to join because I'd like to develop strategic thinking skills, Shane told the teacher. Something I can apply to daily life. Well, the thing is, before the teacher could finish, a Go piece suddenly smacked Shane in the forehead. He turned to see club members flinging Go pieces at each other as if they were playing dodgeball. So basically, this school's full of ridiculous clubs. Shane grumbled as he walked down the hallway, clearly irritated. Kit, still refusing to give up, tried encouraging him. Relax. You still haven't tried everything on your list. You'll find the right club, just give it a little more time. Forget it. I don't want to waste any more time. I already feel like I've gotten dumber just from today. I'm going back to the math club. I should have just gone there from the start. I don't even know why I bothered. Honestly, Shane, I think you're way too stressed. Shane froze. He stopped walking and turned toward Kit, his voice suddenly serious. I'm not stressed. You are stressed. Why are you treating club period like it's life or death? It's just for students to hang out and have fun. It's meant to help us unwind. Stop taking it so seriously. It's okay to relax a little, laugh a little. I don't want to laugh. If I'm going to spend time on something, I need to know it has a purpose. Why waste time on something meaningless? Let me ask you something, Shane. Kit looked him straight in the eyes. Do you really have to be this serious about everything? Are you actually okay living like this? I'm done talking to you. Someone like you wouldn't get it anyway. Shane turned to walk away, but Kit grabbed his arm. Wait, what does that even mean? Someone like me. It means you're you, okay? You're rich. You've got parents who'll support you no matter what. You could mess up all you want, waste your life, and they'd still be there to catch you. I'm not like that, and I don't want to be like that either. Okay. Kit turned and walked away. Shane immediately snapped out of it, realizing he might have gone too far. Hey, are you mad? What the hell? You asked, I answered. Now you're mad at me. You're going back to your math club, right? So I'm going back to mine. Wait, you're already in a club? Which one? Happy Body, Happy Life. Kit said it and walked away. The moment Shane heard the club's name, he became even more irritated. Yeah, of course. Why am I not surprised? Shane turned in the opposite direction and stomped off, furious at Kit, for no clear reason. In the end, Shane found himself back at his old home base. The math club. Crew 10 teased him as he walked in. I thought you were finally going to abandon us for another club this year. Shane paused, unsure of what to say. Seeing his hesitation, Crew 10 quickly added, I'm just kidding. I knew you wouldn't end up anywhere else. This club suits you best. Then he handed Shane a set of math problems. These are from a university-level exam. I asked a professor friend to send them over. Give them a try, Shane. Crew 10 moved off to chat with the other club members. There were only 5 of them in total. Meanwhile, Shane looked down at the questions in front of him. They were from a much higher academic level, but with enough effort, he felt he could solve them. Still, something kept tugging at the back of his mind. Shane's thought, someone like you. Do you even know how to spell the word fun? Kit's question echoed inside his head. Except this time, it was Shane's own voice asking it. He sighed and tried to focus on the problems. After a few minutes, he solved the first one, then the second, then the third, though it took him a little longer. Eventually, he moved on to the fourth, then the fifth. Shane's thought, how many more math problems am I going to have to solve in my life? He asked himself that in the middle of it all, but no answer came. At that same moment, a wave of guilt washed over him. He really shouldn't have said those things to Kit. Chapter 8. Shane stood in front of Kit's condo door and pressed the doorbell. A moment later, the door opened. Kit answered it, but he didn't even look at Shane. He simply turned around and walked back inside without a word. Shane followed him in. The atmosphere was heavy and awkward. You ready? Should we start tutoring? Shane pulled out his study sheets. Kit flopped onto the couch and pulled a blanket over himself. No, I'm not in the mood today. He scrolled through random videos on his phone until he landed on a silly dance challenge. Are you mad about earlier? Shane asked. Do I even have the right to be mad at you? What's that supposed to mean? Anger is one of the basic human emotions designed to protect us. Kit shot him a sharp glare. Shane stopped mid-sentence. Okay, I said something out of line. If you're mad at me, that's fair. So what? Now that you know I'm mad, are you going to apologize or what? What do you think I'm doing right now? Kit glared at him again. Shane let out a sigh and changed his approach. All right, then tell me, what do I have to do for you to accept my apology? Kit thought for a moment. Then he glanced at the dance challenge still playing on his phone and held it up for Shane to see. Dance this for me. What? Shane recoiled. No way. I'm not dancing. Then get out. No tutoring today. Kit, don't be ridiculous. Oh, so now apologizing to me is ridiculous, huh? Then can you explain how dancing to this dumb challenge has anything to do with apologizing? It isn't even logically valid. Do I have to tutor you on propositional logic again? Kit rubbed his forehead in frustration. Can you stop being a human textbook for 5 minutes? Just tell me, are you dancing or not? Shane remained silent. He neither agreed nor refused. Kit looked at him with obvious disappointment. You really are something else. Kit turned around and stormed upstairs. Shane stood there, tense and speechless. Tar was a kid from the countryside who had come to study in Bangkok on his own, so he rented an apartment not far from school. Because of that, Tar's room often became the gang's favorite hangout. It was the one place where they could do whatever they wanted without any parents watching over them. Today was no different. After Mon's behavior had left Kim feeling down, and considering Kim's complete inability to hide his emotions, he knew his parents would definitely ask what was wrong if he went home now. So instead, he came to Tar's place to vent, without caring in the slightest whether the room's owner was okay with it. Kim lay sprawled across the bed, staring blankly at the ceiling in utter despair. It was driving Tar crazy. What the hell are you doing in my room, just lying there? Get up. You're in the way. I can't get up. I've got no energy. Kim let out a dramatic sigh. I'm heartbroken. Tar was already fed up and about to yell at him when Per walked out of the bathroom. Freshly showered, he casually used Tar's towel to dry his hair as he spoke to Kim. Mon just rushed off to tutoring. Why are you sulking over that? Tar spotted his towel and immediately exploded. You asshole. That's my towel. Just borrowing it. You're supposed to ask before you use it, dumbass. Kim refused to let the two of them stay distracted for long. He immediately dragged the conversation back to himself. The point is, Mon already knows I'm a total fake. He reads Shakespeare, and I read Doryman. He probably realizes now that I'm not good enough for him. Damn it. Kim let out a loud cry of despair, buried his face in a pillow, and rolled around dramatically. Per and Tar stared at him in silence for a moment. Maybe love really does make people dumber, Per muttered. You can't say that, Tar replied. Our friend was already dumb to begin with. Just then, Kim's phone, which had been lying on the table in front of the television, started ringing. Per picked it up and handed it over. Hey, Kim, your phone. Not answering. Not listening. Don't want to talk to anyone. But it's Mon calling. Kim instantly sprang upright. In a split second, he went from heartbroken zombie to full alert. He snatched the phone and rushed out onto the balcony. After taking a deep breath, he answered, "Hello, Mon, Kim. I just finished the Liar Potion chapter of Doryman." Mon's cheerful voice came through the phone, completely opposite from what Kim had expected. "It's actually really good." "No, wait. It's probably because I listened to your explanation first. If I'd read it on my own, I probably wouldn't have thought about it that deeply." Mon sat at his study desk while talking to Kim, occasionally glancing at the complete Doryman manga collection he had just bought. Meanwhile, Kim was still trying to process everything. Wait, Mon, so you're not mad at me?" "Huh? Why would I be mad?" "Well, you didn't really talk to me during club, so I thought." "Are you crazy?" Mon cut him off immediately. Then he sighed before admitting the truth. "Okay, here's the thing. I've never read Doryman before." "What?" "Don't laugh, okay? At first, I thought it was just some old comic that was popular in our parents' generation, so I never paid much attention to it. But today I realized everyone else had read it, and I started wondering." Mon laughed awkwardly. "Am I the weird one for never reading it?" "Well, yeah, it's super famous. They even made an anime. Didn't you ever watch it on TV when you were little?" Sorry, I mean." Kim hurriedly corrected himself. "It's okay. Everyone likes different things." "I was embarrassed," Mon admitted shyly. Kim couldn't see his face, but he could picture exactly what Mon probably looked like while saying those words. The image was so adorable that it nearly drove him crazy. "I was worried I wouldn't be able to keep up with your conversations, so I rushed out and bought the whole series to start reading it." "So, you're really not mad at me? I still don't understand why you thought I'd be mad in the first place." "Yeah." Kim let out a long sigh of relief. "I really overthought everything, didn't I? But thanks for recommending such a great comic. Honestly, if I'd gone my whole life without reading it, I would have missed out on something amazing. I'll hurry up and finish it so we can talk about it together." "Okay." Mon ended the call. The moment the line disconnected, Kim jumped into the air with excitement. He couldn't stop thinking about Mon. Seriously, why had he convinced himself Mon was angry? Just because he'd been a little quiet? Why had he become so depressed? So trapped inside his own thoughts? Kim had never been like this before. All of his friends knew he was the type who almost never got discouraged. If anything, he was usually overconfident, sometimes to a ridiculous degree. But Mon had completely changed him. He really must care about Mon. Kit finally opened his bedroom door after Shane had knocked several times. Standing outside was Shane, wearing an embarrassed expression while holding out his phone. Kit looked at the screen. It showed Shane, normally the serious, studious type, awkwardly trying to copy the dance moves from the original challenge video. Kit couldn't hold back his laughter. Shane immediately shot him a warning look. "No laughing. That's the best I can do." He let out an awkward sigh before asking, "So, are you done being mad at me now?" Kit handed the phone back. Then he raised his little finger. Shane hooked his pinky around it. Just like that. Everything was settled. Shane sighed. Kit really was surprisingly easy to make up with. Chapter 9. After clearing the air, Kit and Shane resumed their tutoring session as usual. Shane checked Kit's math worksheet and wrote down the score. 4 out of 10. When Kit saw that he had improved, his face lit up with excitement. "Yes, I got more right this time. You only got one more correct than last time. Isn't that a little too much excitement? A genius like you wouldn't get it. Think about how I usually can't even get one right. Now I got 4. If you were me, wouldn't you be happy?" Shane paused for a moment before speaking seriously. "Kit, I'm really sorry for the way I talked to you before. Why are you apologizing again? We're good now, aren't we? But I still haven't told you the whole truth." Kit fell silent as Shane gathered his thoughts. "The truth is, I was frustrated with myself." He lowered his eyes. "I hate how my life always has to be so serious. I feel like I'm trapped in something, but I don't know how to break free. So I took it out on you." He let out a quiet sigh. "Because, deep down, I'm jealous of you." "Jealous of me?" Kit looked completely confused. "Why would someone as smart as you be jealous of me?" "I don't know." Shane's thoughts poured out from the bottom of his heart. "Maybe it's because you can enjoy things so easily. That's something I can't do, no matter how much I want to. Even when I try, it's like there's always a voice whispering in my head." Shane's thought. "No, Shane, this isn't for you. Go back to stressing over math problems. And in the end, I always go back to where I started, solving equations day after day. When a problem starts feeling too easy, I just move on to a harder one. Eventually, I stop even knowing why I'm doing it." He gave a bitter smile. I'm just a high school senior. So why am I solving problems meant for fourth-year university students? Just because I can. Kit listened quietly, his expression filled with understanding. Then he smiled. Then next time, he pointed at Shane. Don't listen to that damn voice. He grinned. Yell back at it. Tell it to piss off. Let yourself enjoy other things for once. Kit's words, and the way he said them, made Shane smile ever so slightly. But after a moment, he sighed again. It's too late. I already went back to the math club, and I'll probably be stuck there for another year. He smiled helplessly. My last year. That has nothing to do with the club. Shane froze. Kit continued. You do know there's a whole world of fun outside school, right? He stood up and held out his hand. Come on. Come with me. Where? Kit didn't answer. He simply smiled and led Shane out the door. Kit led Shane down a long hallway illuminated by colorful laser lights. At the end of the corridor, a group of teenagers were putting on glowing laser tag vests and taking laser guns off the wall. Shane still had no idea where they were. One of the guys noticed Kit and called out, Hey Kit, you ready? I brought a friend from school to join us today. Kit pointed towards Shane. Nice. Come on, bro. Kit walked over to grab his own gear. Seeing the confusion written all over Shane's face, he explained. These are some friends I know through gaming. They're all chill. No weirdos, I promise. You've got nothing to worry about. And what exactly did you bring me here for? To have fun, obviously. Kit slipped a vest over Shane's shoulders and handed him a laser gun. Shane looked down at it uncertainly. I don't know how to play this. Come on. Kit smiled. Just try. Something in Kit's eyes finally convinced Shane. He decided to give it a chance. The game began. Kit and Shane wore different colored vests, each representing opposing teams. At first, Shane found the entire experience incredibly uncomfortable. Holding a laser gun, wearing a bulky vest, walking through a dark maze. He had no idea where he was going, whether he was lost, or even whether all this equipment might somehow hurt him. But more than anything, Shane hated violence. He had never physically hurt anyone. He had never deliberately put himself in situations where he might get hurt. He had never been in a fight, and had no desire to ever be in one. So the thought of shooting at anyone, even with a harmless laser gun, felt completely foreign to him. Sure, it was only a game, only a laser, but it simply wasn't who Shane was. Still, it didn't take long before something changed. Shane realized he had already come all this way, so why not throw himself into it? Just this once. He decided to leave his usual self outside the arena. Inside this dark maze, he could be anyone, surrounded by everyone else's excitement. Why should he hold himself back? He tightened his grip on the laser gun. He darted around corners without worrying whether he was going the right way. He rolled to dodge incoming shots without fearing he might get hurt. And when he finally came face to face with an opponent, he pulled the trigger. The laser struck the other player's vest. It lit up. A strange rush surged through Shane's body. An indescribable thrill, as though inspiration itself had suddenly struck him. He was actually having fun. Now completely immersed in the game, Shane fired wildly at anyone he saw, including his own teammates. Kit spotted him and shouted across the maze. Hey Shane, you're supposed to shoot the other team. Why the hell are you shooting your own teammates? Shane immediately aimed at Kit. Kit barely managed to dodge. Unfazed, Shane continued blasting everyone who came near him. He had completely lost himself in the chaos. Before long, he was simply having the time of his life. Eventually, only one player remained. Kit. The two of them faced each other in a long standoff, hiding behind cover and exchanging laser fire. Finally, Shane landed the decisive shot. Kit's vest lit up. Shane was the last one standing. Woohoo! I won. He jumped into the air, laughing loudly in triumph. Kit's teammates groaned in defeat. Only Kit smiled quietly, watching Shane genuinely enjoy himself. Afterward, everyone geared up for another round. This time you're on my team, all right, Kit said. And don't shoot me, you idiot. Yeah. Shane laughed. I know how to play now. So, Kit smiled. Having fun yet? Yeah. Seeing that answer, Kit couldn't help smiling too. He was happy Shane was finally enjoying himself. The second round began. This time, Kit and Shane wore matching vests. They were teammates. They split up, weaving through the maze, ambushing the opposing team, dodging incoming laser beams. Every second was filled with laughter and excitement. Then suddenly, The two of them rounded a corner at the same time. Shane instantly raised his gun. Kit immediately threw both hands into the air. "It's me. Don't shoot." "Sorry." Shane lowered the gun. "I thought you were the enemy." Just then, Kit spotted an opposing player heading straight toward them. Without thinking, he grabbed Shane by the arm and pulled him behind a pillar. He shielded Shane with his own body, hiding both of them from view. They were close. Very close. Their eyes met. Shane's heart was pounding, still racing from the excitement of the game. But Kit's heartbeat was racing for an entirely different reason. "Shane." "What?" Shane kept trying to peek around the pillar to find their opponent. Kit, however, couldn't stop himself from speaking. "Honestly, I wasn't that mad earlier today. I was more upset with myself." He lowered his gaze. "For being just some useless guy in your eyes." Shane froze. He turned completely toward Kit. Their eyes met again. Neither of them moved. Kit hesitated. Should he really say it? But before he could stop himself, the word slipped out. "I wanted you to see that I'm better than that." He smiled awkwardly. I don't even know why. Even though he claimed he didn't know, deep down, he already did. He just wasn't sure how Shane felt. As for Shane, his usually brilliant mind suddenly stopped working. Every thought, every calculation, every piece of logic simply vanished. Something else quietly rose to take their place. Something deeper, something unfamiliar, something impossible to ignore. It overwhelmed him completely, until, without realizing it, he leaned in. Time seemed to stop. Only 3 seconds passed, yet they felt endless, as though the two of them had slipped into some hidden corner of the universe. There was no time, no place, no logic, no reality. Nothing else existed, except the lingering sweetness where their lips met, the faint brush at the tip of their tongues, and the butterflies fluttering wildly inside both of their hearts. When they finally pulled apart, only then did Kit and Shane realize what they had just done. Chapter 10. That entire night, Kit tossed and turned in bed, staring at his phone for more than an hour. He typed into the chat about what happened at the laser tag place, then suddenly froze. He stared at the words for a long moment, before deleting every single one of them. He tossed the phone onto the bed and lay there, his face filled with unease. Ever since that kiss, the one that had happened so suddenly, without any warning, Shane had simply gone back to playing the game as though nothing had happened. That left Kit completely unsure whether it had really happened, or whether he had imagined the whole thing. But it couldn't have been a dream. Not when Shane's lingering taste still remained on the tip of his tongue. Even now, Kit kept trying to make sense of it. What did that kiss mean? Where had it come from? Why had it happened? And what did it mean afterward? The first question, where had it come from? That one was probably the easiest to answer. It was because he liked Shane. Kit could no longer deny that. He had spent days trying to convince himself otherwise. But by now, there was no point pretending anymore. He had been drawn to that smart, serious boy from the very first moment they met. And the more time they spent together, the more he got to know Shane, the more he discovered just how adorable he really was. Like a stubborn little cat. The second question, why had it happened? That had simply been a mistake. Being so close had made him lose his composure. He hadn't been able to stop himself. If he could turn back time, he probably wouldn't have done it. But what was done was done. The last question, however, that was the hardest. If Shane had pushed him away, or punched him in the face, at least Kit would have understood. But Shane's silence, as though nothing had happened at all. What was that supposed to mean? The more he thought about it, the more restless he became. Eventually, Kit forced himself to stop thinking. Maybe a good night's sleep would help. He reached over, switched off the bedside lamp, and lay down. But in the end, all he could do was toss and turn. Finally, unable to take it anymore, he grabbed his phone and opened Shane's Instagram. He typed, Kit's message. Are you asleep yet? Kit sat up, waiting for a reply. A few moments later, the message was marked as read, but there was no response. That only made him even more anxious. Why didn't he reply? Kit began typing again. You're not asleep yet, are you? Why did you read it and not respond? He stared at the words for a moment, then deleted them. He was afraid it might make Shane uncomfortable. Yet somehow, he was the one feeling uncomfortable instead. His eyes drifted toward the math workbook on his desk. Maybe solving problems would distract him from his phone. Kit, you're still awake? His maid knocked before opening the bedroom door. Didn't your pa say you have a field trip early tomorrow morning? She found Kit sitting at his desk, completely absorbed in solving math problems. Once I solve this problem, I'll go to bed. His May smiled proudly. I never thought I'd see the day. She chuckled. It must be because of Shane. Yeah, it was because of Shane that he couldn't sleep and had ended up solving math problems in the middle of the night. Kit said nothing. His May smiled warmly before leaving the room. Kit watched the door close, then let out a quiet sigh. He picked up his phone again and checked Shane's chat. Still, no reply. He turned the phone face down on the desk. Why? What was this silence supposed to mean? As though nothing had ever happened? Was it a polite rejection? But that didn't make any sense. Shane had been the one who kissed him first. Kissed him, then rejected him? Really? Logically, did that make any sense at all? Shane, you just tutored me on logic. And now you're the one acting completely illogically. Kit spent the next hour staring at the same math problem. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't solve it. He wasn't sure anymore whether the problem in front of him was mathematics or his heart. He obsessed over it the entire night. No matter how much he thought, he couldn't find an answer. The next morning, a large bus was parked in front of the school. Students lined up to board while Crew Nat checked names from a class list. After the final student climbed aboard, Crew Nat ticked off another name. The bus driver leaned out of the window. Still not ready, crew? The other buses have already left. All the students are here. Crew Nat checked the list again. Just missing one teacher. At that moment, the sound of hurried footsteps echoed across the parking lot. Crew Nat turned around. Crew Tan came running toward the bus, looking completely disheveled. I'm here. He reached the bus and grabbed Crew Nat's shoulder for support while trying to catch his breath. Did all the kids make it? This bus has classes 6-1, 6-2, and 6-3. Crew Nat folded his arms. Every single student is already here. They've all been waiting for you. Crew Tan laughed awkwardly. Well, I had indigestion last night. Uh-huh. And my neighbors were doing renovations all night. I barely slept. What next? Crew Nat raised an eyebrow. Was your air conditioner broken too? Did you have to fix it? And after that, did a burglar break into your house? Okay. Crew Tan sighed. Nothing happened. I overslept. He started climbing onto the bus. But Crew Nat stopped him. You brought the school's camera, right? Crew Tan confidently lifted the camera bag. Come on. This is my responsibility every year. I wouldn't forget. The moment he said that, he froze. He opened the bag. It was empty. No camera. It's still in the office. He turned around immediately. Give me 5 minutes. Then he sprinted away once again. Crew Nat simply sighed. Meanwhile, inside the bus, Tar sat beside Shane by the window. Shane was sleeping like a rock. Tar glanced over at him. Where the hell did you lose sleep from, man? Can you stop bothering me? Shane grumbled without opening his eyes. I'm trying to sleep. Shane hadn't slept much the night before either. For reasons he couldn't tell anyone. He had spent the entire night trying to understand what had happened. Yet he still couldn't come up with an answer. Damn it. He hadn't even replied to Kit's message. And now he had to see Kit in person today. He had absolutely no idea how he was supposed to act. I'm so sick of people in love. Tar muttered under his breath. Shane immediately sat upright. What? What are you talking about? Who's in love? Not me. Why are you getting so defensive? Tar jerked his chin toward the front of the bus. I meant Kim. Kim was sitting beside Per. He was holding a giraffe plushie while recording his voice into it. I like you. Will you be my Fane? Then he pressed the button. The stuffed giraffe cheerfully repeated. I like you. Will you be my Fane? Shane physically cringed. He's planning to confess to Mon today. With that stuffed animal? That's so unbelievably cringy. I was the one who suggested it. Tar grinned mischievously. Oh shit. Shane looked horrified. You're messing with him? Tar immediately clamped a hand over Shane's mouth. Let the guy be happy. Don't ruin his moment. Kim turned around innocently. What's up? AI Shane says your confession idea is super classic. Tar looked toward Per. Right, AI Per? Per didn't say a word. He simply gave Kim a thumbs up. That only made Kim even more excited. Really? Kim smiled brightly. Do you think I should give a long, heartfelt speech? Or should I just ask him to be my Fane right away? Before Tar could answer, Crew Nat's voice came through the megaphone. All right, everyone. The bus is about to leave. Now that everyone's finally here. He glanced sideways at Crew Tan, who had just returned with the camera. Crew Tan immediately looked away. Crew Nat continued. While the bus is moving, stay in your seats. Don't walk around. Keep the noise down. If there's an emergency, we need to be able to communicate clearly. Just then, the driver opened the door once more. Another student climbed aboard. It was Kit. Both Crew Nat and Crew 10 looked surprised. So did Shane. Kit. Crew 10 frowned. What are you doing here? The bus for Class 8 already left. I was late. Kit smiled sheepishly. Can I ride this one instead? Kids these days. Crew 10 blurted out. Learn to be on time for once. Crew Nat immediately cleared his throat. Crew 10 fell silent. Crew Nat turned back to Kit. Go find yourself a seat. Kit walked down the aisle. He briefly glanced at Shane. Shane immediately looked away. As luck would have it, the seat directly across the aisle from Shane was empty. Kit sat down there. Now they were only separated by the narrow aisle. For just a brief second, their eyes met. Then both of them quickly looked away, pretending nothing had happened. Kit took the same math problem out of his bag and started working on it again. Even now, he still couldn't solve it. Groups of students carrying worksheets wandered throughout the museum. In one corner, Crew 10 and Crew Nat stood handing out worksheets to students waiting in line. Make sure you complete every page. Crew Nat smiled. And don't forget to hand it in before 1 o'clock. The students accepted their worksheets and scattered throughout the museum. Crew 10 stepped aside and placed the camera bag along with a stack of documents on a nearby table. His eyes constantly wandered after the students running around. Hey, he shouted. You're here to learn, not fool around. And stop touching random exhibits. The students ignored him and ran off laughing. Crew 10 took a sip from his water bottle and grumbled to Crew Nat. I seriously hate taking kids on field trips. You think they're actually here to learn anything? They're just waiting until we get to the amusement park. Don't you like kids, Crew 10? High school students who never listen to a word you say? He snorted. I can't even pretend to like them. Then why did you become a teacher? Crew 10 blinked. Good question. He sighed dramatically. Why didn't I ask myself that before choosing my major? Then he suddenly shouted again. Hey, who threw trash on the floor? Damn it. He marched over, picked up the litter, and scolded the students responsible. Crew Nat watched him quietly. There was a trace of sympathy in his eyes. A moment later, just after throwing the trash away, Crew 10 suddenly froze. His face turned pale. Hey. He looked around frantically. Where's the camera? What did you say? The camera. The school's camera. Where did it go? Crew 10 searched everywhere, desperately trying to remember where he had left it. You did bring it from school, didn't you? Of course I did. Crew 10 ran a hand through his hair. When you reminded me, I ran back to the office to get it. So where the hell is it now? Could it still be on the bus? Crew 10 stopped to think. Then he took off running toward the parking lot. Crew Nat hurried after him. The two of them searched the entire bus. Nothing. The camera was nowhere to be found. Crew 10 grew increasingly panicked. What the hell? Where did it go? He was on the verge of losing control. Crew Nat stepped closer and gently placed a hand on his shoulder. Calm down. We'll find it. Just take it one step at a time. That gentle voice and the warmth of Crew Nat's hand gradually calmed Crew 10 down. He stood there quietly. Crew Nat smiled at him. It was the kind of smile that made Crew 10 feel as though there wasn't a single thing in the world worth worrying about. Look at this, AI Kim. This is so damn cool. Shane and Kim had wandered onto one of the museum's quieter floors, where hardly anyone else had gone. Shane was looking around with surprising enthusiasm. In reality, the exhibits weren't all that interesting. He was simply forcing himself to become interested in something. Anything. To stop thinking about that kiss. Meanwhile, Kim was completely absorbed in planning his confession. Kim's message. Kim likes Mon. Kim held the plush giraffe close. Kim really likes Mon. He frowned thoughtfully. Or should I say, I like you so much, kiss kiss. Which one sounds cuter? AI Shane. AI Shane. You should be excited that I'm about to confess. Not getting hyped over some boring museum exhibit. Shane let out a sigh. His eyes drifted from Kim to the stuffed giraffe in his hands. Kim, just throw that thing away. What? Why? It's not romantic at all. It looks ridiculous. AI Tar was messing with you. He never expected you to actually go through with it. Damn it, Tar. Kim groaned. I knew he was up to something. Why didn't I trust my instincts? He looked pleadingly at Shane. Then help me. You're the smartest one in our group. Help me think of a confession that'll actually impress Mon. Oh, and make sure I don't end up looking like a complete idiot. Shane sighed. I'll be honest with you. No matter what you do, you're going to look like a complete idiot. What the hell is that supposed to mean? This whole confession thing is stupid. The emotion in Shane's voice burst out before he could stop it. You really shouldn't take movies and TV dramas so seriously. They're fantasy. They're meant to help people escape reality. If you try that stuff in real life, it's guaranteed to blow up in your face. How many times have you had your heart broken? How many times have people laughed at you? Don't you ever learn? He wasn't wrong. But Kim remained just as stubborn. The past is the past. Right now, I really like Mon. A lot. If I don't tell him, what else am I supposed to do? Nothing. Shane answered immediately. Just stay exactly where you are. Kim frowned. Clearly, he wasn't convinced. Shane continued. Look, there are two kinds of sickness. If you have the flu, you go to the hospital. You see a doctor. But if it's just a cold, you stay in bed for a few days. And it goes away on its own. Liking someone, he shrugged, is just a cold, not the flu. You're seriously comparing love to the common cold. Yeah, a cold goes away by itself. And so does a crush. Give it a little time. You'll get over it. Trust me, when that day comes, you'll thank me for talking some sense into you. Kim fell silent. Shane suddenly worried he had gone too far. You okay? You can argue with me if I'm being an ass. What would I argue about, Shane? Kim smiled helplessly. It's not like anyone ever wins an argument with you. Shane paused. Kim continued before he could speak. You're smart. When you believe something, you think it through so thoroughly that everything becomes perfectly logical. You never leave anyone room to argue. I'll give you that. You're rational. He sighed. But maybe you should learn to have some sympathy for people once in a while. Shane was silent. Kim waited. Eventually, Shane finally replied. You mean empathy. He spoke automatically. The two words are similar, but they don't mean exactly the same thing. Kim stared at him for a second, then threw both hands into the air. For fuck's sake. Whatever. He turned and walked away. Just then, Per and Tar walked over. What's wrong, Kim? Per asked. Did you give Mon the plushie yet? I know you two were messing with me. Kim glared at them. You're both terrible friends. He stormed off. Per and Tar stood there in confusion. They turned toward Shane. Shane simply let out a tired sigh, then walked away in the opposite direction. Chapter 11. Kim had wandered off and was now standing alone in a quiet corner, replaying Shane's words over and over in his mind. The more he thought about them, the more he couldn't help agreeing. He looked back on all of his past relationships, even the ones that had started out well, always seemed to fall apart the moment he confessed his feelings. Maybe the real problem had always been him. Maybe he got too caught up in romance. Maybe that was why he kept getting his heart broken again and again. He had always acted on emotion, never stopping to think that Mon might be just like everyone else. Someone who would panic and walk away the moment he confessed. Shane was probably right. A smart guy like Shane wasn't likely to be wrong about something like this. After a while, Per and Tar walked over. Kim looked at them. What's up? Tar and I came to apologize, Per said. I'm only here because AI Per dragged me, Tar muttered. Per shot him a sharp glare. Tar immediately corrected himself. Okay. I'm sorry. I was only joking. I never thought you'd actually go through with it. But when I realized you really were serious, I got curious and wanted to see how it'd turn out. I thought you were having fun with it. I didn't realize you were taking it seriously. Kim sighed. Shane told me I shouldn't confess to Mon. He looked at both of them. Do you think I should believe him? No. Tar answered so quickly that Kim blinked in surprise. Don't listen to him. Tar crossed his arms. You can trust Shane about almost anything. But not this. The problem with smart people is they think they're smart about everything. He shrugged. But that's not how it works. People are only good at certain things. No one's good at everything. And when it comes to love, Tar pointed at Kim. You're definitely better at it than he is. If I were you, I'd trust myself this time. Kim stared at Tar in surprise. He had never expected those words to come from him. Per smiled. What Tar's trying to say is, if you want to tell Mon how you feel, then just tell him. Tar rolled his eyes. Why are you acting like my damn interpreter? He understood what I said, idiot. Kim smiled weakly. If this had happened before, I probably wouldn't have thought so much about it. But now, I don't know. I don't even understand why I'm so scared this time. What are you scared of? Tar asked. Kim lowered his eyes. Maybe. I like him more. He smiled helplessly. More than I've ever liked anyone. Per and Tar exchanged glances. For the first time, They truly understood how deeply Kim had fallen. Just then, Kim's phone rang. It was Mon. Kim answered immediately. Hello? Mon. Where are you? Mon's voice sounded cheerful. I reserved seats for the planetarium show. There's an empty seat next to me. Want to come watch it together? But hurry. It starts in 10 minutes. Okay, Mon. I'll be right there. Kim ended the call and looked at Per and Tar. Mon just invited me to the planetarium. Per smiled. See, Mon already seems pretty comfortable with you. So what are you so afraid of? That's exactly the problem. Kim sighed. I don't know what kind of comfortable he means. Maybe he's just being nice. Maybe he's only treating me like a friend. And if I confess, and he doesn't feel the same way, he forced a smile, I might ruin everything between us. At last, Kim had finally spoken the fear he'd been carrying all day. Per and Tur didn't know what to say. All they could do was pat him gently on the shoulder. Inside the planetarium, a breathtaking sky filled with stars shimmered across the enormous dark dome overhead. Kim and Mon sat side by side near the center of the room. Only a handful of other students were scattered around them. Mon turned toward Kim. Tar said you had something you wanted to tell me today. Huh? Kim blinked. Tar told you that? Yeah. We ran into each other at school this morning. Damn it, Tar. Kim muttered under his breath. Mon smiled. So, is there something you wanted to say? Kim hesitated. It's nothing. Tar was just messing with me. Mon looked slightly puzzled. But before he could ask anything else, the lights dimmed. The show began. His attention shifted to the stars overhead. Kim tried to focus on the projection. Instead, his eyes drifted toward Mon's hand resting quietly on the armrest. Slowly, very slowly, Kim moved his own hand closer, as though he wanted to hold Mon's hand. He glanced sideways. Mon was still watching the stars, completely unaware. Kim hesitated, then quietly withdrew his hand. He looked back up at the sky. His hand remained close to Mon's, but never moved any closer. Kim's thought. A cold goes away on its own. Kim's thought. Maybe liking someone is the same. Kim's thought. Maybe if I just wait, these feelings will disappear too. So, Per looked at Kim. You're really not going to tell him? Kim watched Mon browsing through souvenirs at the gift shop. Without taking his eyes off him, he answered, Yeah, I think it's better this way. Things are fine as they are. Just then, Mon walked back over carrying a snack. He handed it to Kim before smiling at everyone. Want to take sticker photos together? Before anyone could answer, several classmates suddenly came running toward Kim. Hey, Kim. We've been looking everywhere for you. We found your plushie. One of them tossed the stuffed giraffe toward him. Mon watched curiously. Kim caught it, but accidentally pressed the button on its stomach. The recording played at full volume. Kim likes Mon. Kim really likes Mon. The entire group froze. Kim froze. Mon froze. Per and Tar froze. Kim frantically tried to turn it off, but the toy seemed to have malfunctioned. It kept repeating the same sentence over and over. Kim likes Mon. Kim really likes Mon. Panicking, Kim smacked it as hard as he could. Finally, it fell silent. Kim slowly looked up. Mon was staring at him in complete shock. Kim's face burned with embarrassment. Without another word, he grabbed the plushie and ran. Mon remained standing there, still too stunned to move. Kim hid inside a small spaceship exhibit. He wasn't even sure who he was hiding from anymore. Mon, his friends, or his own humiliation. He wished the little spaceship actually worked. Then he could fly into outer space and disappear forever. There you are. Mon's voice startled him. Kim looked up. He hadn't even realized Mon had found him. Mon quietly sat down beside him. Then he asked once again, So, is there something you wanted to tell me? For the second time that day, Kim looked at him. His face was full of hesitation. Well, the truth is, I was planning to confess to you today. But I got scared. He lowered his head. Every time I've confessed to someone, it always ended badly. I didn't want to become a joke again. Every word felt heavier than the last. But you don't have to worry, Mon. If you don't feel the same way, I'll just... Phew. Mon let out a long breath. Finally, Kim blinked. I thought you were never going to say it. I've been waiting all day. Kim stared at him in confusion. Huh, you knew? I figured it out after Tar said something this morning. Mon smiled sheepishly. It was pretty obvious. Kim scratched his head awkwardly. Mon took a quiet breath. I like you too, Kim. Kim froze. His mind went completely blank. It felt even more unbelievable than a dream. What? What did you just say? Mon smiled. Do I really have to repeat it? Kim slowly shook his head. No. As those words finally sank in, the feeling wasn't the overwhelming happiness he'd imagined. Instead, it was something gentle, something peaceful, an overwhelming sense of relief. Both of them blushed. Slowly, almost shyly. Their hands reached toward one another. Their fingers intertwined. Kim couldn't believe it. It felt exactly like a dream. But the warmth of Mon's hand told him this was real. Kru Tan sat gloomily on a bench, scrolling through listings for the missing camera on his phone. When he saw that even a used one cost at least 25,000 baht, his face turned even paler. A moment later, Krunat walked over and handed him a smoothie. Kru Tan accepted it. Still worried about the camera? Worried? Kru Tan laughed bitterly. I'm terrified. The thing costs a fortune. Even secondhand, it's worth more than my entire monthly salary. Where am I supposed to get the money to pay the school back? You could pay in installments. Kru Tan snorted. Installments. I'd have to pay 30 baht a month to afford that. Krunat smiled gently. If we really can't find it, I'll help you pay for it. We were on the same bus. Whatever happened, we're both responsible. Don't joke about something like that. Kru Tan looked up. Krunat met his eyes. There wasn't the slightest hint of joking. You lost the camera because you were busy looking after the students. I should have helped you more. He gently placed a hand on Kru Tan's shoulder. We're on the same team. The same bus. So whatever happens, we'll deal with it together. He smiled warmly. So don't carry all of this by yourself. Kru Tan quietly lowered his eyes. He was deeply moved. Then Krunat chuckled softly. Besides, it's not like my family's struggling financially. Kru Tan couldn't help smiling back. He looked at Krunat, who was still smiling at him so warmly. And in that moment, he felt something. No, more than something. A warmth unlike anything he had ever felt before. For the first time in his life, Kru Tan felt protected. And only a few hours later, he would finally understand exactly what that feeling was. He had fallen in love with Krunat. Chapter 12. Shane found Kit sitting alone in a corner, looking completely stressed as he struggled with a math problem. The very same problem that had kept him occupied since the night before. For a moment, Shane considered walking away, but then he realized he had already wandered through every corner of the museum. There was nowhere left to hide. No more excuses to avoid reality. It was probably time to fix things. Time to forget that strange incident and move on. With that thought, Shane walked over. Kit looked up for only a brief moment. The silence between them was painfully awkward. He quickly lowered his eyes again, avoiding Shane's gaze. Shane hesitated, then forced himself to act normally and sat across from him. Need some help? No. Kit shook his head. I'd rather solve it myself. I've been working on it all night. Shane could immediately tell. Kit was still upset, so he deliberately reached over and pulled the worksheet toward himself. You're not going to solve it. Let me help. I said I'll do it myself. Stop butting in. For a few moments, the two of them tugged the worksheet back and forth. Kit wasn't putting much strength into it. Eventually, he let Shane have it. Let's see. Shane carefully read through the question before taking the pen from Kit's hand and beginning to write. The question asks which statement is incorrect. So first, we need to calculate all three values. Let's start with the average. How do we find it? You add everything together and divide by the total number of values. Very good. Shane nodded. But before you do that, you should sort the data. The numbers aren't in order. Make it a habit. He rewrote the numbers in ascending order. Now that they're sorted, add them together and divide by the number of values. There are 5 numbers. So, what's the total? Kit looked at the worksheet and started calculating. 31. Right. 31 divided by 5 equals 6.2. That's the average. He continued writing. Next, the median. What's the median? The number in the middle. Correct. So after sorting the numbers, what's the middle value? 4. Exactly. The median is 4. He looked back at Kit. And finally, the mode. The number that appears most often. Kit answered immediately. Also 4. Yep. Shane smiled. That's it. So now you can answer the question, right? Kit stared at the paper. Why did it seem so difficult when I was doing it by myself? Because you were rushing. Shane handed the worksheet back. I've told you before. Take it one step at a time. And spending the whole night on a single question. That's dangerous. Exams have time limits. You need to know when to move on. If you keep forcing yourself through one problem, you'll stay stuck, and you'll never make any progress. Kit quietly looked at Shane. After a moment, Shane asked, "So, when do you want to study again?" "This evening. Let's postpone it." Kit gathered up his worksheets. "I don't feel like studying right now." Without another word, he stood up and walked away. He never looked back. Shane immediately knew why. It was because of the kiss. He watched Kit leave, then sighed. "Ai Kit. Wait." He hurried after him. Several nearby students turned to watch, wondering why the two of them seemed to be arguing. Shane caught up and stepped in front of Kit, forcing him to stop. "What the hell do you want now? Just tell me." Shane looked directly into Kit's eyes. "Why are you avoiding me?" "I'm not avoiding you." "Bullshit. You've been avoiding me ever since the museum. Now we're all the way at the amusement park. And you're still pretending nothing happened." Kit's expression hardened. "And who's the one really pretending nothing happened?" His voice carried obvious anger. Shane fell silent. "Was it me? Or was it you? Who acted like nothing happened?" "I." Shane opened his mouth, but no words came out. "I don't want you tutoring me anymore." "Got it." Kit turned around and walked away. Frustration suddenly surged through Shane. "Fine. Do whatever the hell you want." He stormed off in the opposite direction. As he walked, his phone suddenly exploded with line notifications. Buzz, buzz, buzz. He pulled it out. The group chat was overflowing with cheerful stickers. Then he saw Kim's message. Kim's message. "Mon and I are officially dating now." Shane let out a long, exhausted sigh. In the end, the one who hadn't recovered from the fever wasn't Kim. It was him. That evening, Kit sat at the dinner table with his parents. "Is Shane not coming to tutor you today, dear?" His May looked over curiously. "No." Kit quietly shook his head. "He's not." "When will he come again?" His May asked. The words almost slipped out. "He's never coming back." But Kit stopped himself just in time. Was Shane really never coming back? Was he really going to let everything end like this? But what could he even do? Meanwhile, Shane sat on the floor feeding Kaiju a tube of cat treats. His mind, however, was somewhere else entirely. Suddenly, his phone rang. The ringtone startled him. He looked at the screen. "Crew Tan." Shane answered. "Hello, Crew." "What's going on, Shane?" Crew Tan asked. "Kit's pa just called me. He said you're not tutoring Kit anymore." "Is that true?" Shane sighed, while letting Kaiju continue licking the treat. "Yeah, I guess so." "You sure about that?" Crew Tan asked. "Do I need to find someone else to tutor him?" Good question. Was he really sure? Did he really want everything to end this way? Shane still didn't understand what exactly existed between himself and Kit. But if someone asked him whether he wanted it to end like this, the answer came immediately. "Just a second, Crew." He ended the call, gently set Kaiju down, then rushed out of his room so quickly he didn't even bother closing the door. Shane hurried into Kit's house. Kit's parents were sitting together in the living room watching television. "Oh, Shane." Kit's May smiled. "Is Kit home?" "He just went out." "You barely missed him." Shane's shoulders fell. At that very moment, his phone rang. The caller ID read, "Kit." He answered immediately. "Hello. Where are you right now?" "I'm at your condo." "Huh. I'm waiting in your lobby." "Or, do you want me to come upstairs?" "Why the hell are you there?" Kit blinked. "What?" "Never mind. Just stay there. I'm coming right now." Shane hung up, then quickly bowed to Kit's parents. "I'll be going now. Thank you. Goodbye." Without waiting another second, he rushed back out. Kit's parents returned the bow, watching him leave with puzzled expressions. Shane jumped off the bus and sprinted across the pedestrian bridge toward his condo. Before he reached it, he spotted Kit standing halfway across the bridge. "Kit." Kit turned around. He saw Shane running toward him, half walking and half sprinting. "And where the hell are you coming from?" Shane asked between breaths. "It's late. You should be home. You came all the way here." Kit frowned. "Just to scold me?" "I." Shane stumbled over his words. "No." "Then what is it?" Kit took a deep breath. "I came to ask. I want you to keep tutoring me." He looked directly at Shane. "But I also need to know. Do you still want to?" "I do." Shane interrupted immediately, almost as though he was afraid he wouldn't have the courage to say it if he waited. "I still want to tutor you too." They looked at one another. Neither of them smiled, yet both felt an unmistakable sense of relief. "But," Kit spoke quietly, "we still have to talk about that night. You acted like nothing happened when—" "I don't know." Shane looked straight into Kit's eyes. I honestly don't know what I'm feeling right now. But if you're asking me what I do know, I know I still want to tutor you. So, about that night, can we not try to define it yet? He waited anxiously for Kit's answer. Kit remained silent for a moment. Then, a small smile appeared. Okay, if there's a problem you can't solve, skip it. Solve the others first. Otherwise, you'll stay stuck, and you'll never move forward. Shane smiled. Kit smiled back. The tension between them quietly disappeared. So, Shane asked, what time should I come tutor you tomorrow? Morning, noon, and evening. How about all three? Kit laughed. Morning's impossible. It's already late. I need a full 10 hours of sleep. He grinned. Let's stick to noon and evening. Deal. Shane smiled. I've already blocked out the time in my schedule. They smiled warmly at each other. Chapter 13. Midterm exams were just around the corner. Kit and Shane were sitting together in a quiet corner of the school, studying as usual. They sat shoulder to shoulder while Shane marked one of Kit's practice tests. As he reached for another page, he glanced down at his hand. Kit was absent-mindedly holding it while doodling a tiny picture of kaiju on the back of it. Shane shook his head with a helpless smile, then returned to grading the test. He finished adding up the score and wrote, 5 out of 10. This is the highest score you've gotten so far. Pretty good, right? Yeah. Shane smiled. Really good. Kit grinned proudly. Then, can I have a reward for doing so well? A reward? Shane looked at him teasingly. When I said really good, I meant the tutor. Obviously. Kit nodded as though that made perfect sense. Then, he leaned a little closer. Does the tutor want a reward? Their eyes met. The room suddenly became quiet. For a brief moment, it felt as though an invisible force was pulling them toward each other. Then, the school bell rang. The spell was broken. Shane quickly leaned back, looking slightly flustered. It's time for class. He packed up his books and stood. Kit casually walked beside him. Then, without warning, he leaned over and planted a quick kiss on Shane's cheek. Shane froze. Kit. He turned toward him, trying to put on a stern expression, but he couldn't hide the blush spreading across his face. Kit simply smiled innocently and kept walking. Shane gently touched the spot on his cheek where Kit had kissed him. Then, he smiled to himself before following after him. Kim and Mon were hiding together in a quiet corner of the library where no one could see them. Kim was lying down with his head resting comfortably on Mon's lap while absent-mindedly playing with Mon's hand. Mon looked down at him in disbelief. Wait, you're joking, right? Why? Kim blinked innocently. I just want to spend one class sitting beside my Fane. But changing academic programs just so we can be in the same classroom? Mon sighed. Isn't that a little extreme? I already barely understand science and math anyway. But we're in grade 12. There's only 1 year left. Why switch now? We can worry about that later. Kim smiled. So, where should we go this weekend? Mon thought for a moment. I was planning to study for the exams. Sure. Kim immediately nodded. Where are you studying? I'll study with you. No way. Mon laughed. I won't be able to concentrate. He smiled apologetically. Let's take a short break from seeing each other until exams are over. Kim stared at him dramatically. You're serious? It's only for a few days. Mon poked gently between Kim's eyebrows. Don't make that face. Instead, Kim exaggerated his pout even more until his whole face scrunched together. Mon couldn't help laughing softly. Mon was quietly reading at home when the doorbell rang. He got up and opened the door. Standing outside was Kim, smiling brightly. Both hands were filled with bags of food and snacks. Food delivery. Special delivery, just for you. Mon stared at him with a serious expression. Kim's smile gradually weakened when he realized Mon wasn't smiling back. Even so, Mon accepted the food. Okay. Thanks. Kim smiled awkwardly. Can I use your bathroom for a minute? Mon narrowed his eyes. Clearly, he wasn't fooled. But he stepped aside and let Kim inside anyway. A few minutes later, Kim came out of the bathroom. His smile disappeared immediately. Mon was standing there with his arms folded. Waiting. What are you planning? Kim laughed nervously. I just brought you lunch. I figured you might not have time to buy anything. Mon nodded. All right. The food's been delivered. So it's time to go home now, right? He continued staring at Kim. Eventually, Kim gave up. Okay. I admit it. I made up an excuse to come here. He scratched his head sheepishly. I missed you. I just wanted to see your face. Even for a few seconds. Mon sighed. Well, You've seen me now. So, time to go. Mon. Kim looked at him pleadingly. Can I stay a little longer? Please don't kick me out. I promise I won't bother you. I don't believe you. Kim blinked. Have I ever bothered you before? Mon didn't answer. His silence was answer enough. Kim's shoulders drooped. I'm sorry. I didn't even realize I was bothering you. He lowered his head and stared sadly at his own fingers, looking so pitiful that Mon couldn't help softening. It's not exactly that. He sighed. It's just, when we're together, you always end up becoming the center of my attention. And that's not your fault. That's simply who you are. But right now, it's exam season. I really need to concentrate on studying. Kim nodded immediately. Okay. Then today, I won't distract you at all. I'll let your books be number 1. I'll be number 2. Or even number 10. I'll sit quietly like I don't even exist. He smiled hopefully. Just let me stay beside you. Please. I won't make a sound. I promise. Kim held out his little finger. His puppy dog eyes were impossible to ignore. Mon sighed, then finally hooked his pinky around Kim's. Perhaps this was the first rule of having a fane. No matter what, the other person would always want to stay by your side. Mon supposed he would just have to get used to it. After the exams, Shane and Kit went to the arcade together. The two of them were playing a cooperative zombie shooting game. You're celebrating a little early, don't you think? Shane laughed. We don't even know our scores yet. I did my best. Kit kept firing at the screen. Whatever happens now, it doesn't matter anymore. Shane chuckled. That was supposed to be my line. And you stole it. Kit smiled innocently. I thought it was fair game. Shane laughed at the expression on Kit's face. Want to play another round? Kit reached over and pressed the 2-player start button. Just then, Shane's phone rang. He handed his plastic gun to Kit and checked the screen. Kit's Kunmei. He blinked in surprise. The arcade machine continued blasting zombie sound effects while Kit happily played using both guns. Shane stepped aside and answered. Hello, Kunmei. Shane. Kit's Kunmei sounded excited. Cruton secretly called us with the exam scores. Kit got 11 out of 20. It's the first time he's ever scored more than half. I don't even know how to thank you. Really? Shane's eyes widened. Really? She laughed warmly. Thank you so much, Shane. After ending the call, Shane turned toward Kit. Kit was still busy shooting zombies with both plastic guns, completely unaware. He noticed Shane's unusually happy expression. What happened? Crew Tan leaked the scores. Shane grinned. You got 11. Kit froze. It took him a second to realize Shane meant his math exam. Seriously? I passed. Shane nodded. Without thinking, Kit jumped forward and wrapped Shane in a tight hug. His joy was impossible to contain. Later, Kit and Shane walked home together. As they walked, their hands occasionally brushed against one another. Thank you. Kit smiled. If it weren't for you, I never could have done it. I only tutored you. Shane shook his head. You passed because you worked hard. No way. Kit looked at him seriously. If it hadn't been you, I swear I never would have made it. There wasn't the slightest trace of joking in his voice. Shane could tell. Kit meant every word. I should be thanking you too. Kit blinked. Thanking me? For what? Shane thought quietly for a moment before answering honestly. I don't really know. He smiled to himself. I used to focus only on reaching my goals. I always thought I'd be happy once I finally got there. He looked at Kit. But after meeting you, I realized something. My life, as it is right now, it's already pretty good. And, he smiled warmly. I really like the way things are now. Kit met his gaze. A gentle smile spread across his face. I like it too. Chapter 14. Crutan pulled up on his motorbike, took off his helmet, and glanced at his reflection for a moment. Then he turned and saw a Tesla pulling in nearby. Crunet stepped out of the car. Crutan watched him, smiling to himself just a little. Then the driver, a well-dressed, handsome young man, got out and handed Crunet the phone he had apparently dropped. The two exchanged a friendly wave before the man got back into the car and drove away. The interaction looked so much like that of a couple that Crutan's smile faded. Crunet spotted Crutan and waved. Crutan waved back with a shy, awkward smile, then quietly turned and walked away. Later, the two of them were sitting in the storage room. Crutan secretly peeked at Crunet's Instagram. There, he saw a story featuring the same man from that morning. Photos of them eating together, then later sharing drinks at a bar. Crutan glanced over at Crunet, who was busy grading papers. His phone buzzed every now and then. Crunat would pick it up, type a reply, and smile softly to himself. Watching that made Crew Tan feel even more miserable. Just then, Shane walked in and dropped off a stack of his classmates' homework. Here you go, Crew. The homework notebooks you asked me to collect. Just set them over there, Shane. So, how have things been lately? I heard you've got a fane now. Shane froze, and so did Crew Nat, who had been chatting on his phone. What are you talking about, Crew? Your friends told me. Besides, you really do look like someone who's in love. You're making things up. I'm leaving. Shane walked out. Crew Tin called after him. Hey, I'm not judging. Everyone falls in love. If you want to date someone, go for it. I'm happy for you. Really? Crew Nat discreetly glanced at Crew Tan. Crew Tin caught his gaze, then put on an exaggeratedly smug expression. Crew Tan's unexplained irritation didn't change anything. Crew Nat was still being dropped off at school every day by the same man in the same Tesla. Even on Saturday, when Crew Tan came in to finalize exam scores, he still saw that familiar car pulling up. Morning, Crew Tan. Working on the weekend? Crew Nat greeted him cheerfully as he stepped out of the car. Crew Tan was parking his motorbike, looking as grumpy as ever. Just here to finalize exam scores. What about you, Crew Nat? Didn't expect to see you here. Why not? Can't someone like me work on weekends too? Only single people work on weekends. Crew Tan flashed him a sarcastic smile before walking into the school. Crew Nat paused for a moment, slightly caught off guard. That evening, Crew Tan and Crew Nat were still in the office. Although Crew Tan had already finished his work, he stayed where he was. Crew Nat packed up his things, and after a moment, his phone rang. You're here already? Okay, I'll come out. He hung up and turned to Crew Tan. You're not heading home yet? Why? No reason. I just noticed you've been done proofreading for a while. I live alone, you know. No one's waiting for me at home, so I don't really have anywhere I need to be. I was about to grab dinner, and maybe have a drink afterward. Want to come with me? Oh, please. Don't drag me along to be the third wheel. All right then. I'll get going. Crew Tan watched Crew Nat leave, and a quiet wave of loneliness washed over him. A moment later, he stood up and hurried after him. The same car was waiting outside. Crew Nat got in, and the car drove away. Crew Tan stepped out from where he'd been hiding, rushed to his motorbike, and followed them. Crew Tan walked into a speakeasy-style bar. Although it had the hidden, exclusive atmosphere of a speakeasy, it was surprisingly crowded. He looked around nervously, clearly out of place. Scanning the room, he finally spotted Crew Nat sitting at a table in the back with the same young man from before. This time, however, they appeared to be quietly arguing. Crew Nat looked upset, while the man gestured in refusal before standing up and walking away. Crew Tan watched curiously, trying to figure out what had happened, until Crew Nat suddenly looked in his direction. Startled, Crew Tan quickly turned around and rushed out of the bar. He jumped onto his motorbike and frantically tried to start it. For some reason, the engine refused to turn over. He tried again, and again, growing more flustered each time. Then Crew Nat walked up behind him and gently tapped him on the shoulder. Crew Tan turned around with an awkward, sheepish smile. Crew Nat and Crew Tan sat together at the bar, each with a drink. Crew Tan took a small sip of his cocktail and immediately winced at the bitterness, but stubbornly kept drinking it anyway. Crew Nat noticed and smiled. Feeling that he owed an explanation, Crew Tan spoke first. Sorry for following you here. It's just, when you invited me earlier, I kind of blurted out something stupid. Later I realized I was actually feeling pretty lonely. Then, quickly changing the subject, he asked, So, were you fighting with your Fane? He's not my Fane, Crew Nat replied. He was just someone I was seeing. Oh, but I probably won't be seeing him anymore. Crew Tan paused. Why not? I asked him to be my Fane. Crew Nat smiled faintly. He turned me down. Said he wasn't looking for anything serious. So, that's the end of that. You're kidding, right? You got rejected? Shouldn't it have been the other way around? Crew Tan met Crew Nat's eyes, then quickly tried to recover. Sorry, I just didn't expect that. I get rejected all the time, Crew Nat replied. I've stopped keeping count. Oh, come on. That can't be true. Crew Tan paused again. Sorry, but don't let it get to you, okay? Someone like you, Crew Nat. You'll definitely meet plenty of other people. People do come into my life, Crew Nat said quietly. But if it always ends the same way, it gets exhausting. Honestly, sometimes I wonder if I'd feel less lonely if no one had ever shown up in the first place. Crew Tan fell silent. For the first time, He was seeing a side of Crew Nat he had never known. Crew Nat took a deep breath, then raised his glass. Still, thanks for keeping me company today, Crew Tan. My pleasure. Crew Tan clinked his glass against Crew Nat's. He took another sip of his cocktail and made another bitter face. Crew Nat couldn't help smiling, unable to hide the growing fondness in his eyes. Chapter 15. Shane, you've never met Kit's siblings before, right? This is Phi Card. He plays badminton and is about to join the national team. He's always away at training camp, so if you want to see him, you'll have to catch him at the court, Kit's May said, introducing Shane to Kit's two older brothers during dinner at their house. May? Come on. Phi Card, the middle brother, said, looking embarrassed. Meanwhile, Phi Can, the eldest, came out of the kitchen carrying more food and set it on the table. Let her brag about you. Maybe then she'll stop bothering me. Kit's May turned to Shane again. And this is Phi Can, the oldest. He's a fashion designer. He spends all day locked away in his studio. One minute he's here, and the next he's flying off to another fashion show. Blah, blah, blah. Phi Can interrupted, rolling his eyes. Kit's May playfully smacked his arm, and everyone at the table laughed. Kit stayed quiet while Shane looked on in amazement. Kit seemed a little bored with the whole conversation, but his May continued enthusiastically. But the reason everyone's home for dinner tonight is because Phi Kale, our only daughter, just got back from LA Pa's picking her up from the airport. We wanted the whole family together. No sooner had she finished speaking than a bright, cheerful voice called from the doorway. Were you all gossiping about me? Everyone turned toward the voice. Phi Kale and their father had just walked in, pulling her suitcase behind them. Kit's May beamed and opened her arms. Kale ran over to hug her, and Kit's May kissed the top of her daughter's head affectionately. Kale then hugged Phi Can and Phi Card before turning to Kit. You're not going to hug me? Come on, don't act so stuck up. Kit sighed, stood up, gave her a quick hug, and returned to his seat. Kit's May turned back to Shane. This is Phi Kale. She's Kit's older sister. Then she added proudly. She's a photographer in Hollywood. Oh, it's just a small studio, May. Don't make it sound so dramatic. Kale replied before turning to Shane. You're Kit's friend? Yes. Nice to meet you, Phi Kale. Kale smiled and returned his polite greeting. Kit, who had remained quiet throughout the introductions, suddenly began clearing his plate. I'm full. I'm going upstairs to study. What? Kit, I just got here, Kale said, looking slightly disappointed. You'll be here for a few more days, won't you? Just as it looked like the siblings might start arguing, Kit's pa stepped in. He's been very serious about studying lately. All of the siblings looked at Kit with mild surprise. Kit sighed and headed toward the stairs. Shane was about to follow, but Kit stopped him. No rush, Shane. Finish eating first, then come upstairs. I'll work on some problems while I wait. With that, Kit headed upstairs. Shane watched him leave, feeling just a little concerned. Kit lay on his stomach across the bed, scribbling on a sheet of paper when someone knocked on the door. Come in. Shane opened the door and walked in, only to find Kit drawing. I thought you said you were doing practice problems. As he spoke, Shane climbed onto the bed beside him. Kit handed him a completed worksheet. I'm done. Shane flipped through it and saw that Kit had actually finished every question. He looked genuinely surprised. Just then, there was another knock. Before Kit could answer, the door opened. It was Kit's May. Kit, come downstairs and get the gift from Phi Kale. Kit turned to Shane. I'll be right back. He got up and followed his May downstairs. Left alone in Kit's room for the first time, Shane couldn't help looking around. He noticed shelves full of art toys and figures. The desk was cluttered with pencils, colored markers, and drawing supplies. Some of the wooden pencils had been sharpened down to tiny stubs. There were sketches scattered across the desk, stacks of manga, and favorite illustrations that Kit had cut out and pinned to the wall. Shane quietly admired everything. He was seeing a side of Kit he had never noticed before. Not long afterward, Kit returned, placed his sister's gift in the corner of the room, and sat back down beside Shane as though nothing had happened. Shane looked at him. You can open your present first if you want. Forget it. I'll open it later. Your family's pretty amazing. Really? Yeah. Totally different from mine. What's wrong with your family? Shane didn't answer immediately. Kit gently pressed him. Tell me about your family. Huh. You already know all about my parents and siblings, but I still don't know anything about yours. Or, do you not want to talk about it? I don't mind. But are you really that curious? Sure. Tell me anything. Start with what your parents do. Shane thought for a moment before opening up. My pa works in real estate. Business stuff. And my May used to be an actress. She wasn't famous, though. She left the industry after marrying my pa. So far, that sounds pretty good. It was. They stayed together long enough to have 4 kids. But a year after my youngest sibling was born, my pa went bankrupt. Completely. He never recovered. Shane lowered his gaze. My May became unhappy. I don't know who gave up first, but eventually they divorced. They both started new families. So, the 4 of us ended up raising ourselves. So that's why every time I visit your place, I only ever see your siblings. Never your parents. They come by once in a while. Just never at the same time. Every time they see each other, they end up fighting. Are you okay with that? Yeah. I don't think of it as some kind of trauma. Honestly, I think things are better this way. He paused. But sometimes I wish I had something like your family. Everyone together. A famous chef pa, a Dr. May, successful siblings. He sighed. I don't really have anyone I can look up to. That doesn't matter. Kit looked at him seriously. In the end, you're doing just fine on your own. Honestly, it's better to be the best person in a family full of ordinary people than to feel like the failure in a family full of overachievers. You think you're the failure? No. I was just making a comparison. You're not a failure, Kit. Sure, you're not great at school, but you've probably got talents you don't even realize. Like what? Like drawing comics. That? Anyone can do that. No, they can't. Here, watch me draw. Shane grabbed one of Kit's erasers and began drawing a stick figure on it. Kit burst out laughing. Are you seriously drawing badly on purpose just to make me feel better? Hey, that's the best I can do. Shane pouted after being insulted. Kit laughed even harder. Before long, Shane couldn't help laughing too. Come on, give me your eraser. I'll draw something for you. Draw kaiju. Kit nodded and sketched an absurdly round, chubby version of little kaiju. My cat isn't that fat. The 2 of them burst into happy laughter. After Shane had visited Kit's house so many times, the day finally came when Kit visited Shane's condo instead. As usual, Shane was tutoring him. But Kit seemed much more interested in watching the tutor than solving the problems. What are you looking at? Someone cute. Try looking at the math problems instead. Kit looked back down at his worksheet, but immediately started doodling with his pencil. Shane noticed Kit drawing kaiju and lightly smacked his hand. You're here to solve problems, not draw. We just finished midterms. We don't need to study that hard. Maybe not. But you should start thinking about your future. University entrance exams are coming. When it's time to choose a major, we can look at your grades and make a plan. We'll even start tutoring the other subjects, not just math. Kit smiled as he listened to Shane talk so seriously about the future. Wow, you're planning my future now? What's with that smile? I was just thinking, if you're planning this much ahead, that must mean you want something serious with me, right? Kit looked straight into Shane's eyes. Shane stared back, his heart suddenly racing. Flustered, he hurriedly began gathering his things. What are you even talking about? That doesn't make any sense. I don't think it's a complicated question. Kit smiled. So, have you figured it out yet? What are we now? Shane pretended not to hear him. Kit picked up kaiju and teased. If you don't answer, I'm taking kaiju home with me. Shane immediately lunged for the cat. Stop trying to steal my cat. He hugged kaiju tightly, burying his face in the fluffy fur. So, are you going to answer me now? Shane hesitated, continuing to pet kaiju. As if sensing the tension, kaiju wriggled free from Shane's arms and ran out of the room, leaving the 2 of them alone. Kaiju, where are you going? Shane started after him, but Kit caught his arm. Let him play. Then he looked directly at Shane. You need to answer me. Answer what? You ask me 100 questions every day. Shane turned as if to chase after kaiju again. Kit saw right through the excuse. He pulled Shane into a hug. Shane flinched and tried to push him away. What the hell? Let go. But Kit held him tightly. Stop pretending you don't know. His voice softened. Just tell me. What exactly are we now? Shane looked into Kit's eyes. They stood there in silence, staring at one another. No words came from Shane. Instead, the 2 of them slowly leaned closer, until their lips met in a gentle kiss. This time was different from the first. This time, they both knew exactly where they were, and exactly what they were doing. Kit kissed Shane slowly and tenderly. It was every bit as sweet as that first unexpected kiss. Shane let himself meld into it, butterflies fluttering wildly in his stomach, their feelings flowing back and forth through the kiss they now shared. They kissed for a long time, with no sign of stopping. Their emotions continued to build, carrying them toward a point where neither of them could pull away. Then, the door suddenly swung open. Someone walked into the room. Kit and Shane jumped apart in shock. Shane turned toward the doorway and blurted out, "May." Kit froze, speechless. Standing there was Shane's mother. A moment later, Shane's father stepped inside as well, holding Cheese's hand. She was still wearing her school uniform. "Pa." Shane's parents looked at Kit with puzzled expressions. Kit awkwardly raised his hands in a Y. "Good evening. I'm Kit, Shane's friend." He forced an uneasy smile, wondering if they had seen the kiss. Shane's parents politely returned the greeting. Then Shane's father turned toward him with a serious expression. "Call Jean and name. Now, we need to talk. Urgently."